the Men's T20 Cricket World Cup.
He's bowled, that's it.
Live from the USA and West Indies.
What about that? Unbelievable.
Catch all the action on the ABC Listen app.
Here's my top footy tip for the season. You can get your games live and ad-free on the ABC Listen app.
That's sensational.
I know, right? AFL, NRL, men's, women's. Whatever footy you're after, we've got you covered.
Kicks it on the leg, he does, he bounces it through.
Every goal, try, mark and tackle. Called by ABC Sports expert commentary team.
How did he do it? Game, set, bingo.
This season on the home of 100% pure footy. The ABC Listen app.
ABC Sport.
We begin this broadcast by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which this match will be played today and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. We extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples listening.
And the moment of truth has arrived.
If you think you have anything other than a split second in this game right now, you're kidding yourself.
It's all to play for.
Every single bloke has stood up.
They are leaving nothing out there.
I wouldn't want to be anywhere else on earth.
Welcome to ABC Sports coverage of the 2024 AFL Premiership season.
From 55, side-bottom, launches, goal! The Crows baptising on top of the AFL world. They win a spellbinding game of footy. Calling what a practice.
This is ABC Sport.
The umpire holds the footy up.
You want your very best players having the ball in the moments that matter.
Take your moment. This is that moment.
Listen to the roar.
The pressure's certainly gone up. Punches the air with the right hand. That's why we love football.
Brilliant to watch. Stand by. The arms are outstretched as he pumps his chest out.
Fill your lungs. Are you ready for it?
Wherever you are, do not move.
We're going the full journey.
'Cause here it comes.
This is the 2024 AFL Premiership season.
From outside 50, goes bang with everything he's got.
Former bad boy looking to redeem himself with kicks like that.
Something big is coming.
One step nonchalant banana finish. Wow. Charlie Cameron snaps. Goal.
Something big is coming.
Hey Siri, play John Denver.
AFL.
From deep in the pocket. Oh, that is amazing.
Fill your lungs. Are you ready for it?
This guy wants to add home on the biggest stage.
And Gordon can finish from 35. Oh, Errol.
It's there.
Superb finish.
What a hanger.
He joins the party.
Walks through the goal. Oh, what a moment.
Brilliant, wasn't it?
There's nothing this man can't do. Rioli with some magic. The check side finish. He seizes the moment.
Stolen, snapped it over his shoulder. He's kicked an absolute ripper.
Spins around and buries it.
Lightning speed, Bobby Hill. He's Bobby Thrill.
This is just football at its best.
Weaves around an opponent and gets a brilliant goal.
Gathers, snaps. He'll bring the house down. Time to steady and pull the trigger. Right foot drop punt is pure. We're not done yet.
The 2024 AFL Premiership season on radio, Sport Digital, and take us with you on the ABC Listen app. Just look for the AFL button.
Something big is coming. I know.
A picture-perfect Sunday afternoon in Sydney offers the ideal stage for a true blockbuster as we at last get your Sunday footy action underway on ABC Sport. It's been a slow build across round 13 so far. Some nonetheless intriguing results and some tight ones, but I think it's fair to say the weekend's schedule is heavily back-ended, and today we get a close look at two genuine contenders. The Sydney Swans, the runaway flag favourites, back here at home against Geelong, their grand final opponent of barely a year and a half ago, whose recent form tapered off. Hit the slide. They lost 4 in a row. The Cats, but returned to the winners list last week. It's all ahead of us here at the Sydney Cricket Ground. Welcome again to ABC Sport. My name is Brett Sprigg. The opening bounce is about 15 minutes away, and Daniel Garb will call the action alongside me.
Hello, Spriggy. Great to be with you. Awesome Sunday afternoon at the SCG as the Cats banner goes up. They're about to run on the ground. It is a blockbuster clash. It's a top 4 clash. It's a rematch of the 2022 grand final. Yet the feeling on Geelong, and that's the storyline for me going into today, are they really there? Are they really an elite team this year? They lost 4 of their last 5. Can they match it with the Swans? Can they match it with a Carlton at their best or the Giants at their best? That's the question mark on them. Maybe we'll get a bit more of an answer today.
We always ask the question about teams with the most to prove. The Cats certainly fit that category here in this matchup against the Swans this afternoon. Beautiful conditions. We'll get more from Declan Byrne on the boundary very shortly as it's just bright sunshine and the crowd are sort of filling up the grandstands, and the team's not too far away from making their way onto the playing arena as well. The team news here, no late changes. The Swans have made just the one change. Tom McCartan returns from that concussion he suffered in round 8. Aaron Francis, who was there in his stead, he makes way. Last week's sub was Matt Roberts. He's in the 22 this week. And Braden Campbell, who was the sub 3 weeks in a row before the game against the Bulldogs. He's now sub for 4 games in 5 weeks. So Braden Campbell is the sub today for the Swans. For Geelong, 3 changes. Ollie Henry, Toby Conway, Zach Tui, all missing through injury. They welcome back Reece Stanley from his recent knee issue, the medial. And welcome back Mark Blitzarves and Jai Clark from their respective 1-week suspensions. Last week, the sub was Gary Rowan, and he fulfills that same role again for the Cats, the former Swan, who, of course, knows things pretty well here at the SCG. The Swans and the Cats not so far away. Geelong makes their way out onto the SCG firstly to a chorus of boos, but nonetheless, seen a few Geelong fans out and about around the place hoping for a big win. A big scalp as they roll on towards September here and can reaffirm their place in the top 4. Of course, still no Dangerfield, no Cam Guthrie. They're both nearing returns, but not in the side this week for Chris Scott's men. Time to welcome our experts, who are former Eagle and Swan, Callum Sinclair. Hey, Cal.
Hey, Spriggy. Thanks very much for the inclusion today. But no, I couldn't agree with you more, Garbs. Like, I think the question mark on Geelong is, where are they at? But just looking at, they're still 8-4 in the competition. So at this part of the season, you'd still say that they're in pretty good nick. But we'll get a real, true understanding today how they match up against the Swans, who, to be quite frank, it's probably hard to see who'll beat them in the competition at the moment. But super excited for today, and hasn't the weather turned it on, gentlemen? It's been absolutely incredible out there this afternoon.
Your fellow expert, it's been a long time between ABC Sport drinks, the former Swan and Blue, Jason Saddington. Welcome back, Saddo.
Hey, thanks, guys. I tell you, it's nice to be called an expert for once, because I'm in a family footy tipping competition, right? And I'm coming second last, and I can't pick a winner, so I'm copying it from all ends in my family footy tipping. So it's nice to be called an expert.
Well, I think this week alone has been a pretty challenging one for tipsters so far, but we'll see how it all falls in the next few hours here in the Harbour City. The Swans banner is up. It's pretty straightforward. Of all the glorious victories, nothing beats the mark than bringing down the Cats from Caninian Park. Yeah, it's not bad. It's no sort of orange-bellied parrot like the Giants with some weird sort of consolation.
You're not running out to that one, Cal, getting inspired, are you?
I'm not getting fired up, man. I think that maybe the Paddington Nuffies might like it, but not a player.
A reminder, you can join the conversation as well via text 0437 774 774. That's 0437 774 774 for us here on ABC Sport. We've seen a few times this year with the Cats having that losing run and how tight things are. They've been in danger of slipping almost out of the 8. But this week, owing to the fact that there's been upsets, you mentioned, Saddo, as well as buys for Port and Freo, they remain in third. So remarkably, it's 1 versus third today. The Cats can climb up to second, but with Essendon, Carlton to come tonight, the winner of that will essentially claim second. As the Swans make their way out onto the SCG, Tom McCartan back in the side, a big cheer for him. Let out there by Dane Rampy, and Chad Warner burst for the banner as well. Cheer, cheer, the red and the white rings around the SCG. The opening bounce here is 12 minutes away. But it could come down to percentage. If the Blues win, they can claim second as well. Of course, the Pies and the D's tomorrow, they're both a little further back, but that gives you some idea of how it all looks in that top 4 and top 8. Before we launch into things here, Cal, Swans did have the bye last week. Before that, they beat the Dogs by 14. Are you seeing the gap potentially closing? Have clubs figured out how to combat the Swans, and maybe it's just a matter of not doing it for long enough?
To be honest, I don't actually think so. I think with the Bulldogs game, they're probably the one team in the competition with their game style and their personnel that actually match up pretty well against the Swannies. I think, and speaking of probably Geelong and the Swans as kind of clubs, I think people probably underestimate there actually is a bit of a rivalry there. 2 very proud clubs, and if I know anything about John Longmire and the inside of the Sydney Swans, they really gear themselves up to play Geelong, regardless of the location. But I'm just looking at the Geelong warm-up now. I'm looking at guys like Hawkins, Cameron, Blitzer, Stanley's back in the side. Like, there's quality out there that the Swans are going to have to worry about today.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Cal. I mean, I think today we're actually probably about to look at a real top four game.
Yeah.
There's a few things at play. I mean, Geelong, whilst they had a run of losses, they bounced back against Richmond, but they weren't impressive. But at least they found their way back to winning. You think about players like a Jeremy Cameron that perhaps hasn't been out of form, in form. Tom Hawkins hasn't been in form. Like, it's only a matter of time before they start to click again. And the Swans coming off the bye. So there's a few things at play, but I reckon we get a real top four game.
Because defensively, and that's where obviously the Swans get Tom McCartan back. He's a handy in, but it's one department they haven't looked as strong in as far as intercept marks. They are last in the comp for intercept marks. They still have a well-rounded defence anyway in other stats categories. They're up against a very capable forward line with Hawkins and Cameron you mentioned. Not that the Swans don't have their own attacking prowess, which is much talked about, but head-to-head, there's obviously a key battle there, isn't there, with that Swans defence?
No, there's certainly... And that's probably the disappointment of Paddy McCartan's retirement from last year. I think, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he led the competition in most intercept marks. But I think guys like Nick Blakey, Lewis Melican, I think he's having an absolutely outstanding year. If I'm being honest, I think the Swans are very cautious with Lewis, and potentially they probably think, based on his injury history, he can go down. But I wouldn't want to see too many key position defenders going down for the Swans. I don't think the depth is just there. That's being harsh because they're probably easily the best team in the competition, but I think it's a fair assessment.
And yet, Aaron Francis, who performed okay.
Correct.
Joel Hamling's been playing forward in the VFL, but he made his name as a key back. So there's a few little bits and pieces there anyway.
The midfield's just so deep. I mean, Heaney, Goulden, Warner, Rowbottom, Adams goes through there, McInerney goes through there, Parker couldn't get a game, Mills to come back. It's scary. And yet the question mark on Geelong is, yes, they've got Cameron, who is arguably the best forward in the comp when he's up and going, and an excellent back line led by Stewart. But is the midfield deep enough? That's where the question mark on the Cats is centred in on. And today they go up against the deepest midfield by a long way in the comp.
Well, if you compare it to the Swans, like look at it now, Isaac Heaney, Warner, Tom Papley goes in there and pinch hits every now and then, and he's a clearance king when he goes in. But the thing about those guys is that their foot skills and endurance is actually incredible. Like, you look at Chad Warner. I remember seeing earlier in the week someone judged him on his draft year and gave a pretty interesting assessment of why he went a little bit too high. But his foot skills have improved incredibly, and I think it's fair to say that Errol Gordon's easily the best kick in the competition.
You can keep your text coming, 0437 774 7774. Laurel in Rushworth says, I followed the Cats for 80 years, so I think I'll stick to them. Go Cats. John from West Footscray asks, not exactly a pertinent question related to our footy coverage, about how to watch the cricket, the World Cup. The best place to listen is on the ABC Listen app. We have full coverage of the World Cup there, and it's on Amazon Prime, I think, for TV. But nonetheless, the footy here is about 7 minutes away, and that's the... Before we focus on Geelong in detail, Jason Sunnington, Callum Sinclair, your ABC Sport experts, Will Hayward. If you told us a couple of months ago that Will Hayward's contract extension would be big news in this Swans team, which it was during the week, an extra 5 years for Will Hayward, just goes to show the sort of guys that are stepping up in the red and white this year.
I'm assuming that question is directed at me.
Anyone can jump in if you want.
Well, I'll kick us off, but... I think you're right. I think if you made that as your prediction at the start of the year, not that you'd be shocked, but you probably thought it's a little bit far-fetched. But to be honest, he's had a great season. I think he's reaping the benefits of an incredible midfield. Would have been hard to knock back a few of those offers. I was hearing rumours around the 800 mark for Carlton, which, to be honest, a year. I don't know if you'd personally pay that, but not being harsh, he's a terrific player. But it's his time is run, I'll put it that way.
It's always like that, isn't it?
Correct.
Nick Davis special come out of contract. But I mean, Hayward obviously benefits from the form that the Swans are in. He's the leading goal kicker for the Swans this year. It's all about timing sometimes. For the Swans, you never want to lose quality players. No. So, when you have that opportunity to maintain the quality young players that you've got, of course you want to keep them. So, it's a great signing for them, and I guess that's why it is big news.
Well, it's probably a good little discussion point. The spread of players that they've got, you've got Chad Warner out of contract next year, who's kind of delayed talks. He's going to get massive offers, particularly from the West. I'd be curious to see. They're probably going to have to lose someone, the Swans, you'd think, over the next 18, 24 months.
The only one left to re-sign here and now is Logan McDonald.
Yeah.
The talk is that might be delayed a little bit. Freo won him badly. It's kind of the final piece of the jigsaw, potentially, for the Dockers. And then Warner's next year. Yeah, everyone's been saying they're going to lose someone, but there's only really McDonald left now, and then maybe Warner. There's a school of thought out there that if the Swans win the premiership this year, that decreases their chances of keeping Warner long term because he would have got that flag. If they don't, then maybe he re-signs to give that opportunity more of a chance.
This is ABC Sport. We're at the SCG. Brett Sprigg, Daniel Garb, Callum Sinclair, Jason Saddington, your call team, with Declan Byrne on the boundary. Down to Declan very shortly. And on the Cats. And look, unconvincing is how you describe the Cats. They beat Richmond by 5 goals last week. We've spoken a bit about them, but Jeremy Cameron and the way they utilise him at a ground like the SCG, is it likely he'll move up the ground a bit more and play a bit higher because this is the sort of ground where you do it?
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, Jeremy Cameron's one of those players that gets a bit of a licence, I feel, to sort of roam where he needs to, and that's when he plays his best footy, when he can roam. So if you see Jeremy Cameron getting up the ground and back inside 50, I think that's what you want to see as a Cat supporter. You want him to be able to roam the field and pop up in different areas of the ground. That's where he has his best impact. So, you know, if he's not doing that, then that's an issue. But I think that's what you want.
Particularly on this ground, you need him playing high with Hawkins up forward. These two guys, you know, it's a footy cliche, but with your key forwards, you do need separation, and I think that's the risk of playing at the SCG, is that you actually can, you know, collapse on one another. And to be honest, the Swans kind of play three talls plus kind of Hayward in that forward line as well, so they actually handle it pretty well. But the last thing you need at the SCG is your key forwards collapsing on one another. So I agree, Sado. Jeremy Cameron, play him up the ground early, get him involved.
You spoke, Cal, about a few of the parallels that these clubs share as far as being dominant in this century, along with Hawthorn. They've appeared in a lot of grand finals. Of course, they were grand finalists together a couple of years ago. They've got two of the longest-serving coaches in the game in John Longmire and Chris Scott. The last time they met was a draw. Round 16 last year, 54 apiece. A couple of names missing from both sides, but the recent history is anything to go by. Then again, Geelong's previous 2 wins were a combined 174 points, which includes that grand final 2022. Yep. And Geelong has won 5 of their past 8 against the Swans.
I was going to say, whenever they meet, it's always eventful. So the draw last year, the round 6 2023 game when the Cats smashed them was memorable because the Swans were decimated. You had Callum Mills up against Tom Hawkins.
That's right.
At fullback. The grand final in 2022, of course, and the game before that was early in the 2022 season when Buddy kicked his 1,000th goal on this ground. So whenever they meet, something newsworthy generally happens. Perhaps it'll be the case again today.
Something big is coming, as our ABC Sport opening theme suggests. The grandstands look close to full. By the way, if they get 45,000, this joint only holds, I think, 45,000 as it is, but they'll be averaging 40,000 crowds across the year so far, which speaks to, I guess, the form of the team itself, but also the fact that they have amazing cut-through in a very competitive sports market. Enough on them, though, because we've seen Tom Stewart go to the toss, and he will await the arrival of Dane Rampy. The Cats are rank outsiders here, Sado. What's the key for them today?
Well, it's midfield. You know, the Swans' midfield's got such depth, like you guys mentioned just earlier, and they win a lot of possession. The Cats' midfield's been tested, it's been questioned. They've got to stand up, and they've got to be able to equalise what's happening in the midfield and probably limit a little bit of possession of Goulden and his run. They've got to limit Warner's power and his goal kicking that's been prolific in his game this year. So I think it comes down to what's going to happen in midfield. And for Geelong, obviously, they need Cameron and Hawkins to hit form.
Correct. Yeah, mate. It's a cliche, it always starts in the midfield, but I think if you want to put it on a couple of blokes, I think Reece Stanley and Mark Blitzavs to kind of nullify Brodie Grundy, who's been an absolute awesome addition for the Swans, and you kind of see Grundy as that kind of barometer. I think if you're Geelong, you probably target him a little bit and kind of send a message to the Swans midfielders that, hey, we're not going to cop this. So I think Reece Stanley and Blitzavs need to have a big game for them to win.
Callum Sinclair on ABC Sport alongside Jason Saddington, and as the teams break, Dane Rampy has won the toss. The Swans will kick to the northern or Paddington end to start here at the Sydney Cricket Ground as we get your Sunday afternoon of footy underway on the national broadcaster. Let's head boundary side. Declan Byrne is there for us. Good afternoon, Declan.
Good afternoon, guys. It is humming down here. It is a long weekend in New South Wales and the weather gods have got the memo. It is 20 degrees, no wind, so conditions are perfect, and well, the members has been full for close to a couple of hours. There was a 200-300 metre line to get in. Everywhere else is packed in, so yeah, we got that equal third highest crowd against Carlton a few weeks ago. We might be tipping it again today.
Thank you, Declan. Look forward to your insights and observations throughout the game. The subs are Campbell and Rowan, and the teams are just about set to go here. It's a sunny Sunday in the Harbour City. To get us underway on ABC Sport, you're with Daniel Garb.
James Jordan is standing Tom Stewart. Perhaps that's a tagging job for Jordan. On the Cats defender, it's Grundy and Stanley in the middle. Grundy palms it down. Blakey off the wing picks it up to Warner. Darts around. Tanner Bruin has a bounce to centre half forward. Warner goes, drives along into attack. The launch from the back from McDonald came down to Hayward. Cats under pressure early. Try and clear defensive 50. Blakey couldn't take the mark. Picked up by Jeremy Cameron. He's tackled by Rowbottom. They still scrap away for it at centre half forward for the Swans, and now the Cats clear it.
Squeezed out towards the wing, bouncing members side towards the boundary line, and the umpire says it's deliberate.
Wow.
How about Chad Warner just taking him on first set of downs?
Why wouldn't you with the confidence? Tanner Bruin, young fella, got to keep up.
So an errant kick from the Cats, penalised. Swans bring it back in. Defensive side of the wing, western side of the SCG. Overcooked kick from Warner. Knocked away by Close. Involved Myers there as well for the Cats. Now Cameron to half forward. Hawkins 55 out. Unguarded square. Skids it towards home. Rampy gets back and ushers it through for a minor score. The first score of the game is a behind to the Cats in the opening 70 seconds on ABC Sport.
Probably should have done better with that one, the Cats. I almost had a goal on the board. The turnover from Warner wasn't a great kick inside. Geelong had players spilling forward. They just missed the kick, Hawkins.
He pulled his kick then. He should have had a crack.
Massive crowd here at the SCG. Sunday afternoon footy, ABC Sport, as Florent goes short to Rampy in the back pocket. Drives it up to the logo on the wing, off hands. Hayward with a new contract. Gathers it and snaps it to half forward. Papley and Mullen underneath it. Now Stewart, who's being tagged by Jordan, gets there and gets the disposal away. He's handballed to Zach Guthrie, though. Led to the Cats defender being tackled over the boundary line by Hayward. And we'll have a throw in just in front of the Cats dugout.
The old cha-ching, Cal. Quite often you sign the new contract, you normally have a stinker, don't you?
Back in it comes. Grundy beats Stanley. Here's a path for Rowbottom. Breaks the tackle there of Atkins. Loose footy gathered now by Heaney. Off to Warner here for the Swans. They're away in space. Nurses kick up the line. Good defensive work by Stewart. On in turn here again for Atkins. Brought to ground by Grundy. On there is Lloyd for the Swans. Hurries his kick further towards centre half forward. It's marked by Stewart, though, to intercept at right half back for Geelong. We're going to cross the defensive goal mouth. It all makes the contest down there on Zach Guthrie. And now De Koning run down by Amadi. Umpire saw it, said play on. Loose footy inside of 50 here for the Swans in attack. Hayward spun on the tackle. On in turn again, it's back here. They can clear through Henry beyond defensive 50. Warner parks himself under it there. Lloyd again. Two-time best and first winner for the Swans. Through traffic, Heaney back to Lloyd. Pulls it across to half forward to find Errol Goulden in plenty of space. 40 out, slightly to the right of centre.
Well, it's interesting. I think you mentioned at the first bounce, Garby, that Jordan's gone to Stewart. Stewart as a defender, obviously. I thought he might have gone to Holmes, but I guess that's a sign that the Swans are saying, well, we're going to back in our midfield to win anyway. We don't need to stop any of the Cats' midfield. Let's take away a key player for the Cats who runs across half-back.
Errol Goulden gives himself room here to kick from 55 and guides it into the post for a minor score. It's one behind a piece here, the Swans and the Cats. Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport. 3.5 gone in the first term.
Thought Amadi caught De Koning cold holding the ball. If Elliot Yeo had to have seen that one, he'd be thinking, well, how unlucky was I? How unlucky was I? Because if Yeo was holding the ball against North, De Koning had to be. Anyway, on we go. Scores level, one apiece. Cats drive it out to the wing. Cameron gathers it. Shannon Neal picked it up, but the Swans win it back at centre half forward. In there is Bruin, though, for Geelong. Gets it to Cameron. Scrappy kick, bouncing ball. to centre-half forward for the Cats. Florent on the jump, gathered the football. Well tackled, though, by Close. And he's caught holding the ball. Close plays on quickly, goes short to Myers. That's barely 15, but it is paid. And Brian Myers will kick from 40 out directly in front.
And that's the game. I mean, you need to pressure when the ball gets in your front half. We've seen Jeremy Cameron now get a couple of touches, but higher up the field, like we said pre-game. It'd be important if you can get the footy up the field. You get it forward, and if you've got players like Close that can put the pressure on, I mean, that's what you need, and that's what Geelong want to do and bring into their game to get this form back.
Myers hasn't kicked one in his last 2 weeks, but he is a sensational kick of the football. One of the best in the competition, and he's got the first on the board at the SCG. Geelong are 1-1-7, courtesy of Brian Myers. Sydney one behind, 5 minutes gone.
It was certainly a terrific effort there from Brad Close to just close that and lay that tackle. Probably just an interesting observation early in the game is just the Swans, just this work rate to get their numbers around the ball. They're just outnumbering Geelong at the contest unbelievably. And I think Brad Close, that's a terrific effort, but I'll tell you what, I think this Geelong midfield just needs to do a little bit better in just monitoring the kind of work rate of the Swans from contest to contest.
On ABC Sport, your experts, Callum Sinclair and Jason Saddington. Cats lead by 6 early on here. Off the SMS, 0437 774 774. We are two Aussies holidaying in NYC. It's 1:20 a.m. here, so we're dedicated listening to the ABC AFL footy team. Thank you. P.S. Go the Swans. Are you going to the cricket? India-Pakistan play at Long Island as a free kick is going from the centre bounce, going Geelong's way. And Reece Stanley back in the side this week. Drives it long down the corridor. High inside forward, 50 up in front. Cameron shut there again, this time by Bowes, who snaps and bounces it through. 2 in a hurry for the Cats. Blistering start for Geelong, 2-1-13. The Swans one behind. 6 gone first term. Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport.
And Sato, you would know as a key forward, that's what you want from your midfield. Just get it in, play territory, particularly early in the game. And the pressure it just puts on the Swans defenders at ground level. Good contest here from Jeremy Cameron, just bringing it to ground, but that's a classy front and centre. What a goal.
Oh, he hit it at stride, didn't he, Jack Bowes? Absolutely at stride, right off the front. Off Jeremy Cameron. You're right, Cal. Get it in, give the forwards a crack, and especially if you're trying to get him back in form, Hawkins and Cameron, just send the ball to them. Eventually they're going to start to get involved in the game and start to find some form again. And, I mean, Bowes, just keep getting to the front. If they're making a contest, you'll get shots.
Geelong with a fast start, 2-1-13. Swans one behind. As Grundy knocks it down. Rowbottom gathers it. Gets the football on the boot. Centre-half forward it goes. Struggling to grasp it was Guthrie, and McInerney swooped. Got around a couple and then spears one, looking for Hayward. Missed him. Strong tackle, McDonald, though, on Kolajasny. Not paid holding the ball. That's the second one the Swans believe they should have had inside 50. Not paid.
High free kick.
And in fact, it is a high free kick now going against a Swan on the boundary line in Goulden before the ball went over. And he will kick from just inside 50, Errol, on the tightest of angles. So he'll run around on his left and just pop it up to the top of the square. It's punched through by De Koning for the second Swans behind of the afternoon. They are 2 behinds. Geelong 2-1-13, 7.5 minutes gone. Sunday afternoon footy, ABC Sport.
You might not be getting the free kicks, but I think the Swans coaching staff be happy with their key forwards laying tackles inside 50.
Mitch Duncan kicks out. Turns 33 tomorrow, Mitch Duncan. And he spots up fellow veteran Tom Hawkins on the O'Reilly wing. And the bright sunshine at the SCG. Out in space, Blitzarves. He's attacking side of the wing. Spears his kick inside 50. Roberts cuts across to spoil it towards the pocket. Still alive here as Rampy sockets it towards the line. And we'll throw it back in. So a stoppage inside 50 for the Cats, who lead 2-1-13. Sydney 2 behinds. 8 gone, opening term. Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport. You're with Brett Sprigg, Daniel Garb, Jason Saddington, Callum Sinclair and Declan Byrne. Here's Garby.
Tom Hawkins doing the ruck work as he so often does inside 50. It spills here for Bowes, who's just kicked one. Looking for another. Didn't get boot to ball, but it fell the way of Goulden anyway. He tries to clear the danger. Cats win it back at centre-half forward. They go to Duncan, who then went back to Mullen. Swans almost intervened. It falls, though, to Cameron. Back to De Koning. Kicks it to the pocket. Errol Goulden's underneath it. He's marked inside his own defensive 50, right half back.
So Goulden up the line now to find Florent. Also signed a new contract recently, Ollie Florent. At half back here for the Swans. Geelong, 11 points here early on at the SCG. Florent called to play on. Up the eastern wing now. McDonald 2 deep in the pack. To Koning, cleared a path there for Stanley. Intercepted by Grundy. Hand pass Heaney. Wide McDonald again. On in turn here to Adams. Going inside 50. Awkward low ball for Hayward. It missed him. Warner burst through a tackle though. Lost the footy. Good defence there it was from Mark O'Connor. The umpire spotted the free kick though for a player being held. And it will indeed go the way of the Cats. And Henry now comes wide to find Max Holmes at half-back.
Holmes assesses his options, just props at half-back and then pops it over the top for the run of Stengel, who gathered it and got the quick handball away to half-forward for big Shannon Neal. He picked it up, was run down by McInerney. Again, the holding the ball isn't paid for Sydney. And the Swans faithful share their views on that. There have been 3 that may have gone their way that haven't been paid.
Yeah, and the Cats have had a couple paid to them. It's we'll get the crowd involved.
Boundary throw in right half forward for Geelong.
Cats lead by 11 points here. Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport. Grundy up in front of Shannon Neal. Hand pass comes wide from Papley to Jordan. The Swans are away now. Papley again goes to Fenn. Run down by O'Connor. The umpire says, yep, holding the ball. The Irishman with a good run and tackle on Papley. The Cats will keep possession here at right half-back. 11 points their lead. 11 gone the opening quarter.
Swans just a bit panicky with football in hand at the moment as O'Connor goes to half-forward and Stengel takes the mark. Opposed to Roberts. Plays on now. Goes to Hawkins in the pocket who takes it one-handed.
He loves this spot.
Just held his body superbly to keep Melican out of the contest and grabs it with the left hand and dragged it in after a couple of juggles, and Hawkins will kick from 45 out on a very tight angle right half forward.
So far, it looks like the quicker ball movement from Geelong's probably what caught the Swans out a couple of times. Even this time, it was a lot of congestion this side of the ground, but Geelong still looked to move the ball quickly, get into Hawkins one-on-one.
795 goals to his name. The 11-time leading goal kicker at the Cats. It's got a very good chance, and he snuck it through. The champion makes it 3 straight for Geelong. To 3-1-19 they go. Sydney just the 2 behinds. And a surprising first quarter, 11 minutes in.
You called that, Cal? He loves it from here. You've stood in the goal square and watched it go over your head a few times, haven't you?
I have, and I absolutely love Tom Hawkins. And he's probably been talked about, his form probably over the last 4 to 5 weeks hasn't been probably where he needs to be. But, mate, he started pretty well. He's taken 2 contested marks. That was a great kick there. And curious to know about his celebration. He had the old hamburger there, so I think someone might have been giving him a bit of grief in the crowd that may have had too many burgers from the canteen. It looks like.
He's 4 goals away from 800 to be the 13th player to do it in VFL AFL history. I will say, Cats fans, they get too excited. Of course, Carlton did this to Sydney a few weeks ago. Got rolled by 52 in the end. Hot start though for Geelong, who lead by 17 points. Restart back in the middle. Cats win the clearance. Away it comes again. Bowes. Quick kick inside forward 50. Back at the flight. McCartan wins it down there for Blakey. He's run down there. Great chase and tackle by Dempsey. Umpire says play on. Blakey's kick skids out towards Papley on the wing. Gathered there by Zach Guthrie. That Ricks, it again tries hard for the Swans. There's the follow-up there on Guthrie. Loose footy now. Papley's involved. Beaten to it by O'Connor. Ricks through traffic. Picked off here by Myers. Gets a kick inside forward 50. Singles placed well here. Snaps from the pocket. Bouncing it through. End over. What about that from Tyson Stengel? Classy finish. It was positioned well. In some ways, right place, right time. But fantastic game sense from Tyson Stengel. Dribble it through from the pocket. That's the best of the Cats. 4 goals so far. 4-1-25. Sydney are stunned. Just the 2 behinds. 13 gone opening term. Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport.
Oh, that's class, and that's something most players can't do. Is to grab that on the fly, heading towards the boundary, Stengel, and just go, well, I can throw this on the boot pretty quickly, dribble it through from 20, 25 out. It's unbelievable class. I mean, that's what you need as the Cats. The key forwards are playing well. They're involved in the game. Stengel is a small forward. Bowes with his crumb early. You take those opportunities and the pressure's on. This is a fantastic start from the Cats.
Tyson Stengel, his 25th goal of the season, and that is surely the best of the lot. One of the best we've seen all year. The Cats 4-1-25, Sydney 2 behind. Swans win it out of the middle. They need to go forward desperately. It bounces the way of Amadi, but then evades him. Gathered by Mullen. Handball back to Duncan. Sends it out to the wing. An intercept marking is Blakey. Pops it over the top and finds Amati in the pocket. Well done, Nick Blakey. His class coming to the fore. And Sydney need a settler. Amati might be able to provide it from the left forward pocket.
No, it was set up beautifully for Blakey there with that intercept, and he loves that play on straight away. He only needs 1 or 2 steps to be so damaging by foot.
Amati with the snap misses. The Sydney are 3 behinds. 14 minutes gone. Geelong 4-1-25. A sensational start by the Cats at the SCG.
And they're just holding their own in the midfield at the moment too, the Cats. We spoke pre-game that that midfield battle is going to be very, very important. The Swans have been fantastic at it. So far, it's been a 50-50 contest, and I think that's what's allowed the Cats to have some good opportunity. The Swans midfield haven't got on top.
ABC Sport, Jason Saddington, Callum Sinclair, experts as Duncan drives it long from the kick out. Taken by Florent, not paid. Play on, says the umpire. It was touched. Hand pass wide, McCartan. 70 out from goal, goes high inside forward 50. Amati goes up there, down there for Mullen in defence for the Cats. Works it away, through hands it comes to Koning. And now Cameron, little give and go there off the half-back flank. And now it's intercepted by McInerney for the Swans. Got it away, McCartan. Blakey's kick smothered. They go again here, Geelong. Trying to work it away again through Brian Myers. And now Ollie Dempsey kicks towards that one-on-one. Hawkins out there with Milliken. Close arrives in support. Back to Hawkins. Now close boundary side. Up here, Myers coughs it up into the path there of McInerney. The Swans are way off half-back.
McInerney handballs to himself. Adams eventually picks it up with the ball. They'd gone over the boundary line. Did well, McInerney, to evade 4 Geelong players at half-back. But the ball eventually travelled over the boundary line, so they'll have a throw-in just forward of the wing for Geelong, who lead by 22 points.
Pressure's been good from the Cats. Haven't seen Swans been able to get too much chain handball and get through. Constantly been under pressure.
Jeremy Cameron, in fact, it's Shannon Neal doing the ruck work opposed to Grundy. Adams strapping away in front of Jai Clark. Knocks it over the boundary line. And we'll have another throw-in. Swans a little bit rattled early. John Longmire with a bit of a stressed look on his face. No one expected this in the early stages. Here's Brett Sprigg on ABC Sport.
Geelong 4-1-25. Sydney 3 behind. 16 gone first term. Back in it comes. Grundy to the outside there for Blakey. Loose man Adams hurries his kick. A high spiralling ball. Attacking side of the wing. 2-on-2. Floating up Dempsey. In fact, Zach Guthrie it is who's not paid the mark. It's a scrap at ground level there where Amati gets there first. The umpire says, give it to me.
Well, you would be a little bit stressed as John Longmire. I mean, it's probably been an even game in terms of the way it's been played throughout the ground. I think Geelong have just been efficient when they've gone forward.
Stoppage at half forward for the Swans. Dempsey first, hands to it. Jai Clark pushed to ground. Atkins involved, beats a couple of Swans. Collar Jasny, and now wrapped up Holmes. We'll ball it up again on the point of the square. Geelong by 22 points, 17 gone to the opening term. ABC Sport, this is your Sunday afternoon of footy.
Ball up centre half forward, picked up by Mullen, goes to Myers, who's got a man out on the wing. He dribbles the ball towards him. It's gathered there by O'Connor. Pokes it towards the pocket and finds Stengel, who marks just inside the boundary line. And after kicking a goal of the year contender from the other pocket, has the chance to nail his second, this time from a set shot directly from the other side of the ground.
Yeah, it's just O'Connor held his width great out in the middle of the ground. Swans got sucked in. Once they get the ball on the outside, he had plenty of space and time then to find that Stengel pass inside 50.
Tyson Stengel kicked 4 goals in the grand final triumph over Sydney.
Oh, looks good.
That is very close, but through for a behind. He's on early, is the Cats dynamo, as is his whole team. They lead by 23 points in the first term.
Goal umpire sucked me in there, Cal. I thought he had that.
Well, he leant back on it pretty well there, Stengel. He looked very confident off the boot.
Cats by 23. Blakey kicks beyond offensive 50. Too deep for Cameron. Goulden through traffic. Run down by Bruin. Up against that boundary line on the outer side. Out here again to O'Connor. Bustles through a tackle and his handball goes wide, out of bounds for a throw-in.
If I was the Swans and you're looking kind of where they're breaking down, I'd probably say it'd be their small defenders. It just seems like the goals that they're kicking are coming from off the hand of the key position players. So I think the small defenders of the Swans need to tighten up.
Toss back in. Cats by 23. Stanley from behind on Grundy. Adams to Patley. Tries to clear. Run down there, though, by O'Sheen Mullen. Loose footy gathered here by Geelong. Henry's kick comes wide. Back to half forward. They're setting up here, Geelong. Inside forward 50 via Mark O'Connor. And now Cameron in the contest with Blakey. The defender reaching from behind. Spoils out of bounds for a throw-in. So a stoppage inside 50 at the Randwick end for Geelong. Their attacking zone. They lead by 23 as we approach time on here in the opening term. Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport.
The likes of Close. Stengel's on the move. Myers there as well. McLean knocks it down. Adams gathers it. A shout for holding the ball. He had one arm pinged. Deep inside attacking 50 for the Cats. Heaney couldn't get hands on it. Jai Clark's there. Rampy's under pressure. And he will happily see it over the boundary line for another throw in. Left forward pocket for Geelong, who are kicking to the right of your radio dial or your AFL Listen app. And they are 4-2-26. Sydney 3 behinds. And we have gone 19.5 in the first quarter.
But heaves it back in. Hawkins and McLean doing the ruck work. McLean with a telling touch beyond defensive 50. Wicks took Bruin high. The umpire was all over it. Geelong free kick at left half forward. A former Giant, Tanner Bruin, who called this city home. Pops it deep inside forward 50. Close outnumbered. McLean floats across to intercept. Deep at right full back.
Swans near to control the footy. They won't do it like that, though. McLean put it on top of Heaney's head. And intervening was Dempsey. Gathers it again. Kicks it into a dangerous area. Roberts is underneath it, though. It was Zach Guthrie, in fact, doing some excellent work at half forward for Geelong. But Roberts takes a strong defensive mark at the top of his own defensive goal square. Sends it out to Rampy. Can they get some control of the football here, Sydney? They seem rushed whenever they have it.
They haven't had much control of the footy. Every time they've had it, it's been a bit more fast play, and Geelong's pressure's been fantastic.
Geelong by 23. It's with McInerney at left half back for the home side. Called to play on. Nurse the kick short to Papley. On the members' wing here at the SCG in bright sunshine here in Sydney.
Got the overlap middle of the ground.
Raining Geelong goals so far. Papley goes deep to half forward. Amati was beaten and Stanley gets up to intercept there for the Cats at half back. Pops it inside defensive 50 there for Jeremy Cameron. He's a long way from home. Running off fullback. And they'll just chip it around again. It comes back to Stewart inside that D50 for the Cats, who lead by 23 points.
And the Cats are happy to control it to Atkins and now Myers in the middle of the ground. Why wouldn't they? Leading by 23 points at the SCG. He likes something in the form of Mullen at centre half forward, Myers, and spots him up. The handball went to Duncan. He got free as he was tackled. And he was dumped after tackling it by Amati. Mitch Duncan, so he wins the free kick, goes short. Tom Atkins, just in front of the centre circles.
Get it in.
All the Swans behind the ball now. Atkins goes to Stewart, who pumps it long inside, attacking 50. Cunningham's there. He palms it towards the boundary line. McInerney sees it over. Right forward pocket for the Cats, who lead by 23. Down to Declan Byrne on the boundary.
Yeah, it's 6-2 in the free kick count, and the Swans fans haven't had much to cheer about. They're happily booing, though, every decision going against them.
They trailed by 26 in the first term against Carlton here in their last home game a few weeks ago. 23 is the margin at present. One down by Grady Dehaney. At fullback, it's with McInerney. The defensive goal square. Swans deep in their own defensive area. Short kick to Roberts. He'll use the corridor. Weighted kick now for Rowbottom. Still inside defensive 50. His kick a little wasteful though. Back with the flights. Holmes did well. Beat Cunningham. Loose man there is Bruin. Pops it towards the flank. Leading up and marking Blitzarves. 65 from goal here for Geelong. 23 points their lead. 23 gone to the opening term on ABC Sport. Blitzarves goes inside 50 deep to the pocket. Melican gets up there in defence. Got in the path of Blakey. One down back here for Melican. Run down from behind by Stengel. So Tyson Stengel with great forward 50 pressure will line up here for his second goal. His first was an absolute thriller on the run deep in the pocket. He'll have a set shot from that same part of the ground, 25 metres out.
Pressure all over the ground, Sato. You'd have to agree from Geelong. The Swans have been unlucky with a couple of free kicks. We'll give them that, but their small forwards' pressure has been outstanding, and also their mids have really adjusted with their numbers around the contest. Swans look a little bit out in their feet in this first quarter.
Yeah, I reckon that pressure from Geelong has worried the Swans out of a little bit. You know, they've panicked and rushed when they didn't need to.
Stengel's kicked goals in every game since round one. Here he is for his second. Set shot, tight angle, doesn't let them down. The Cats are hot here in the Harbour City. They're out by 29. 5-2-32. The Swans who remain stuck on just 3 behinds. 24 gone to the opening term. Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport. Your experts are Callum Sinclair and Jason Saddington.
I think the Swans this year they've been known for I think they're the number one kicking efficiency team in the AFL. But you see how the Swans, Geelong, how they're playing them. They're playing them in an absolute phone booth. They can't get any clear possession in this quarter whatsoever. Their defenders in kind of Florent, Blakey. Roberts has been okay, but they just can't get any drive off half-back at all. But the Geelong forwards, they are pinning it in there beautifully. And I think you've probably got to put on the midfield now to get some ascendancy.
What a start by Tyson Stengel. 2 goals, 4 score involvements. Myers with 7 disposals and 4 score involvements for him. They are driving the Cats on in a sensational start, asking big questions of the premiership favourites who gather it through Grundy in the middle of the ground. Handball to Lloyd. Inside 50, the Swans go. Can they get a goal before quarter time? Jordan picks it up, but the Cats swoop on him as they have done on Sydney all first term. Bounces towards Grundy, just outside attacking 50. His kick is poor. Gathered by Stewart. Throws it on the boot. Torpedo style, it goes to the wing. Hawkins couldn't mark. Roberts goes back to Cunningham of the Swans, but they turn it over again. Bowes is well tackled by Grundy. And finally, Sydney get a holding the ball decision. And listen to the crowd as a result, because they've been denied 3 of them. Finally, one goes the way of Grundy on the wing.
Here's the result in a goal though for them. Grundy on the wing. Drives it deep inside forward 50. McLean leads up, trying to snatch it clear of Stewart. At the drop, Jordan. Hand pass trickles out towards Adams, turns blind, gets it away to Jordan. Umpire pays a free kick advantage paid here for the Swans as well. High towards full forward, but he was outnumbered down there, McInerney, as Blitzarves marks on the last line there. So 29 points is Geelong's lead. 5-2 plays 3 behinds. 26 minutes gone in the first quarter. Here on ABC Sport at the SCG on this sunny Sunday afternoon.
They love that, the Cats. If you're just under pressure, just dumping it inside 50, their defenders just roll off every time.
They work it on the outsides, on the outer wing, but eventually it was knocked over the boundary line for a boundary throw in underneath the Bill O'Reilly stand. Keen to get your thoughts, Jason Saddington and Cal Sinclair, as we near the end of the first term on the Cats' structure. They just seem so in sync all over the ground in terms of their defensive setup and the way in which they're stifling Sydney.
Yep. It comes off the pressure around the footy.
As Holmes sees it over the boundary line.
Yeah,
yep.
I mean, Cal touched on it. The Swans haven't been able to get any run off half-back, no free ball movement. So, you know, if the pressure on the ball's good enough and you've just got to rush and panic and just kick the ball in, the defenders just roll off every time and eat that up. And that's exactly the way the game's been played. It's totally in Geelong's hands.
Approaching quarter time. Back in it comes. Goulden there for the Swans. His spiralling ball is picked off at half-back by Mark O'Connor. The Irishman flares it across the half-back line. It's marked by De Koning. Pick smothered out there by McDonald. First retrieve it now as the key forward for the Swans. Wins his footy, goes back to Amati. Kick was a little too hot for him. Henry off to Zach Guthrie, runs straight into Patley, holding the ball.
Has to be.
Another one going the Swans' way. This time locked in by Patley. He's 65 from goal. They must finish strong in the first term here, the Swans. Deep to the pocket, getting across with the spoil was Blitzarves. And now out the drop, Stewart brought down. O'Connor runs out of room. Out of bounds for a throw-in.
And Blitzarves is the one that just constantly is getting free to intercept mark or get the spoil in. The ball just seems to be coming direct through his line.
Which is good for him, because I think Stewart's getting to kind of trying to tag him out of the game.
Cats by 29. Back in it comes. Inside 50 here for the Swans. Bowes hand pass wide now for Dempsey in space to find Hawkins leading up and marking in front of the old grandstands there at right half back.
Cats clear defensive 50 well again, as that's well smothered though by Lewis Melican, matched up on Tom Hawkins. So we'll have a boundary throw in left half forward for the Swans.
I think this is what worked for the Cats as well, as Hawkins has been getting up high at times, Cameron getting up high at times. They're really mixing it around and giving a different dynamic each time. Hawkins has looked really dangerous one-on-one.
Mark O'Connor's been strong as well in this first term, up to 6 disposals. Swans win it though, left half forward through Warner. Handball to Rowbottom. A chance now for a goal before quarter time as Rowbottom chisels it into Adams. Wasn't 15, and now the kick by Rowbottom after getting it back from Adams is smothered, and the Cats work it out of defensive 50 again. Grundy punches it over the boundary line for a throw-in on the wing. They just seem to be stifling every single Sydney attack with ease at the moment. Geelong, who lead by 29 points. 28 and a half minutes gone in the first term at the SCG.
Yes, I can't see the inside 50 numbers in front of me, Cal. You might have them a bit closer, but the Swans, every time they go in, Geelong just kept repelling.
13 apiece it is.
Yep. And it comes home, shrugs the Warner tackle, kicks towards half forward. Back with a flight. Florent did well in the contest considering, had a couple to beat. Hand pass to Cunningham, gets away from Close, back to Rampy at centre half back. Close kept running, back to Melican, who's by himself at left half back, and the seconds will tick down and beat them. The quarter time siren sounds. One of the more lacklustre opening half hours or any quarter of footy for the Sydney Swans in this season. It's the Cats who lead 5-2-32 to Sydney, 3 behinds. Goal kickers. Tyson Stengel has a couple, and singles there for Bowes, Hawkins and Myers, and of course none to speak of so far for the home side. Geelong by 29 points at the first change. This is your Sunday afternoon of footy on ABC Radio, News Radio, the ABC Listen app. It's all coming to you via ABC Sport.
Hi there, Lisa Miller here. Isn't it great to get outside for a breath of fresh air? It's one of life's simple pleasures, right? Well, I can help you to keep something else simple too. Finding news you can trust. You can stay in the know with ABC News. Download the app and receive alerts to your phone. Visit the ABC News website. And for stories straight to your inbox, subscribe to one of our newsletters. It's all the latest, all verified, all the time. Stay in the know with ABC News.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2024 AFL season. Every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Florent on the jump, gathered the football. Well tackled though by Close. Right. And he's caught holding the ball. Close plays on quickly, goes short to Myers. That's barely 15, but it is paid. And Brian Myers will kick from 40 out directly in front. Myers hasn't kicked one in his last 2 weeks, but he is a sensational kick of the football. One of the best in the competition, and he's got the first on the board at the SCG.
And Reece Stanley back in the side this week. Drives it long down the corridor. High inside forward, 50 up in front. Cameron shucked there again, this time by Bowes, who snaps and bounces it through. 2 in a hurry for the Cats.
As O'Connor goes to half forward and Stengel takes the mark. Opposed to Roberts. Plays on now. Goes to Hawkins in the pocket, who takes it one-handed. 795 goals to his name. The 11-time leading goal kicker at the Cats. It's got a very good chance, and he snuck it through. Makes it 3 straight for Geelong.
Wicks through traffic, picked off here by Myers. Gives a kick inside forward, 50. Stengel's placed well here. Snaps from the pocket, bouncing it through. And what about that from Tyson Stengel? Stengel's kicked goals in every game since round 1. Here he is for his second. Set shot, tight angle, doesn't let them down. The Cats are hot here in the Harbour City. They're out by 29.
The 2024 AFL Premiership season.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
That's the story of the first term here at the Sydney Cricket Ground. You're on ABC Sport with Brett Sprigg, Daniel Garb, Declan Byrne on the boundary. Your experts Jason Saddington and Callum Sinclair. Your texts remain welcome, 0437 774 774. Brownie from Darwin, loving the coverage on the road to the Gold Coast. Had another one here on a road trip. Pete and Cindy, just about to get to the end of our epic road trip from Darwin to Bunbury and WA via Adelaide, Port Lincoln, the Nullarbor. 1.5 hours to go. Listened to quite a few games over the past month. Thank you, Pete and Cindy. And our friends in New York City said we didn't go to the cricket. India-Pakistan play, I think, tomorrow New York time, but have recently returned from the Yankees and Dodgers at Yankee Stadium. That is fantastic. So keep your correspondence coming, 0437 774 774. Phil notes, game not done yet, but maybe this is showing us the opposite of a bye. Hard to get going. Something through that, Cal Sinclair, Jason Saddington?
It can be. Momentum's an amazing thing. You know, the Swans have been flying. I mean, they've been flying pretty much through the front half of the season. Momentum sometimes can be a hiccup. I don't think there's either way to say the benefit. The rest is good, but the momentum can disappear. But definitely not. It's not game over. I think we've seen the way the game's been played. The Swans have got their opportunities. I think what's happening is it's the efficiency of ball use, and certainly that going inside 50. And the Swans, Well, they've been inside 50 13 times, as have the Cats, but that efficiency going inside 50, the Swans currently at 15%. So every time they go in, it's under a bit more pressure because Geelong's pressure's been fantastic at the source. They're a bit rushed. They're a bit more down the line. They're unable to get the handball receives and get the run or, get that change of angle to open up the inside 50. And, Geelong defenders, and certainly Blixarf's been fantastic getting back in there just to intercept and have an involvement, that they're able to win the footy back in their defensive 50, Geelong, and take it out. And then on the flip side of that, every time they've been able to move the ball, the Cats, they've tried to move it pretty quick, I think, and they've tried to get it to Hawkins one-on-one and Cameron one-on-one. And when they've been able to do that, whilst Hawkins and Cameron haven't necessarily marked it, players like Close, who's been there close enough, he hasn't won the footy, he's put fantastic pressure on the ball. And Stengel has been unbelievable through that quarter. I mean, he's been best player on the ground through that first quarter. His ability to win the footy, kick a fantastic goal, also get free, take marks. He's been the difference. They're going inside 50. Stengel, fantastic. Swans haven't been able to find an avenue.
No, they certainly haven't been able to, but Geelong would be very, very wary of going into the remainder of the game. They're a proud football club. They've been in these situations before where you're playing against a quality opposition. The big strength of the Sydney Swans is this year is they can score quickly and they can score a lot. They've got an amazing spread of goal kickers, but you nailed it on the head, Sado. Like their efficiency going inside 50. This year they've gone at 50% average and then 14.3%, as you said, in that first quarter. I reckon that's been a really clear game plan or strategy from Chris Scott, is just pressure, put them in an absolute phone booth. If you take away that kicking efficiency from the Sydney Swans, it'd be interesting to see kind of how they play. They might have to go back to that DNA they used to do, is just territory game, get it on the foot and bash and crash.
Just for context, that was the Swans' first goalless quarter of the season, by the way.
Couple of stats. Mullen, 9 disposals, 7 of those contested. Myers, 8 disposals and 4 score involvements plus a goal. Cameron with 8, Goulden with 7 for the Swans and a couple of score involvements. He's arguably been their best in the first term. Cats by 29. Here's Brett Sprigg on ABC Sport.
Getting back underway. Stanley wins the hit out there. Warner, though, first pair of hands to it. Snaps up the line here for the Swans. Clean bowled Hayward. Jordan there. Lets Papley go. Over his shoulder, a hand pass to Heaney. 55 out. Pops it inside the arc to find Jordan, who marks 35 out. Angle slightly right of centre.
And this is what they'll want from Jordan. They'll want him getting very dangerous on Tom Stewart. Very interesting to see if he kicks this, what sort of reaction the Swans boys will get around Stewart. Quite interesting in their centre bounce as well, what Geelong are doing. They're setting up very much defensive on the defensive side of that centre bounce. They just don't want him coming out the front.
James Jordan, the former Demon, made his club debut in opening round for the Swans, looking for their first goal. He hits the post. It's their second poster of the game. As that first major does go begging. 4 behinds. They trail Geelong, who are 5-2-32. Inside the minute of this second term on ABC Sport.
They call him the padlock James Jordan for the tagging roles he's doing at the Swans on Tom Stewart today. But getting free and taking a mark inside 50, he failed to capitalise. Here is his direct opponent, Stewart, in the right back pocket. Sends it up the wing. Tom McCutton punches from behind. Now it's with Heaney. Good start to the second term from the Swans. Off his left, kicks to Jordan in the pocket, who just juggled it over the boundary line. Will have a boundary throw in. In fact, it's out of bounds on the full, so the Cats will play on quickly from defence.
And they do just that. Short kick comes to Duncan. Called to play on now, evades Papley and can just push his kick back to the right back pocket for Tom Stewart. Cats by 28. Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport. Stewart swings it across the defensive goal mouth for Jack Henry. His brother Ollie out with a hamstring injury. And subs today, Braden Campbell and Gary Rowan. Beyond defensive 50 here, Geelong. Florent keeps it alive here for the Swans. Lays the follow-up tackle on O'Sheen. Mullen for a hold. So free kick Geelong at left half back. Down the boundary, Declan Byrne.
Yeah, Tanner Bruin, that whole quarter time break, was lying on his back, getting attention to his hips and glutes, and he started this quarter on the bench, so I'll keep an eye on that. Got
no game clock, by the way, as it's early stages second term. Kick was to a contest where Stanley rises strong and takes the mark.
Reece Stanley, premiership player in 2022, opposed to Brodie Grundy, sends it to half forward. Excellent kick, close, couldn't take the mark, but Just guided it down to Tom Atkins, who snaps it into the pocket. Neil tried to take the mark. It fell the way of Myers. Across the face of goal. Stengel's lurking. That's dangerous. Tackled by McDonald. They play on in the pocket. The ball somehow stays in. It's alive. Right forward pocket for Geelong. And now bodies fall on it. And we'll have a ball up in that area. Taking a long time for the umpire to blow his whistle. Like he allowed that to go on and eventually went over the boundary line for a throw-in.
I think the umpires are kind of a bye week.
I think you called it in that first quarter, Cal, around more of the smaller Swans defenders. Myers and Stengel already, first inside 50, looked dangerous.
Geelong by 28, back in it comes. Grundy, hand pass goes nowhere out of the ruck, and now it's wrapped up again, or balled up again.
He seems to be getting a lot of separation, so I'm not quite sure who's playing on him, whether it might be a Cunningham is going to him, but a lot of issues for him.
5-2 plays 4 behinds. Hawkins follows up from the ruck tap. Lloyd there for the Swans first. On to Rowbottom. Hurries his kick. High beyond defensive 50. Too deep down there. Forward to Koning. Stewart tries hard against Amati. Brings him to ground. And now that loose footy inside the middle of the SCG. Jordan waiting for it as well. Extracted by the former Demon. Hits the deck though. Loses the football. Worked forward by Holmes of the Cats. Grundy to intercept. Spills the mark. Off by hand to Goulden, who can go again from left half back.
Goulden drives it up the wing, but again, the Cats have the numbers set up brilliantly in defence. And Reece Stanley takes the mark on the logo in the outer side wing under the Bill O'Reilly stand. Goes short to Jeremy Cameron, feigns the handball, now gives it to Clark, who pokes it into the pocket, but well read there by Tom McCartan, who led Tom Hawkins to the football and marked it in the left back pocket for Sydney.
So Florent looks like the closest player to Stengel at the moment.
McCartan up to the wing. Amati flew through his hands. Grundy on hands and knees, gets rid of the football, and then Heaney puts the tackle on Tom Atkins just outside the centre square, where we'll have a ball up. Geelong 5-2-32, Sydney 4 behinds, 5 minutes gone in the second quarter.
Bowes through traffic, right down by Rowbottom. Again, a loose footy here, and the umpire will ball it up.
I'll be surprised if it's the movement from the Cats forwards. I mean, just watching that stoppage there, Stengel was on the move and the Swans had to hand over a couple of times as to who was picking him up.
Myers wins it down here for Bowes. Don't argue on Warner. It took on the tackle though and lost, so it will be holding the ball. Warner eventually following up and gets the free kick.
And need to find a way to get off the line, the Swans.
Swans come wide from Warner to Goulden. Geelong by 28 points. 6 going second quarter. Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport as Goulden works his kick towards Wicks, but Kolodjasny up in front intercepts it. Right half back for Geelong.
Yeah, the down the line the game's not going to work for the Swans. Definitely not at the moment. They've got to find a way to change the angles, get off the line, and fairly quickly too.
Kolodjasny to Myers and Holmes. The Cats here have come with a defensive plan, and they are executing it to perfection at the minute. Their setup is quite something as Holmes drives it up to half forward. Blitzhaus with the fly, guides it down to Stengel. It's a free kick, though, for a push in the back. And it will go the way of Brodie Grundy. Grundy plays on quickly from left half back, short to Rampy. The Swans captain today with Callum Mills still out injured. It's another turnover, though. It's like Groundhog Day in that outer side. They get giving it back to the Cats, and marking it there is Sam de Koning.
Koning back by hand as Stewart. Inside defensive 50 again, this time for Jack Henry. Only Geelong player back there on the last line. He'll swing it wide now to Oisin Mullen. 28 points their lead. Mullen comes back inboard for Holmes. Had a good game last week. 29 touches against the Tigers. Recently re-signed for the Cats. Did Holmes. Duncan missed the kick though. Atkins burst through. The Cats go inside 50, get in no time. Hawkins back there again, juggles it and takes it.
Wow.
In the contest with Grundy, reaching with his right hand. Juggled effort, pulls it in. And he'll take a set shot here. Tom Hawkins from 30 out on a 45-degree angle.
He's got so many tricks, Tom Hawkins. Like, he's never going to be a player that's going to run and jump at the footy, but I've never met a guy that's just so in tune with his body work and how he reads the ball in the air, Sado. Like, that was just... And particularly on Grundy, he'd be probably 5 or 6 centimetres taller than him, probably the same weight.
No Geelong player has played more games. Here he is for career goal 797. The big tomahawk lines it up, hits the post.
Let off.
They extend their lead, but only by 1. 5-3 plays 4 behinds. Geelong by 29 points, 8 go on second term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport with Daniel Garb.
So I reckon that's reflective of where the Swans' defence is at. The fact that Grundy ended up one-on-one against Hawkins says that they're just struggling defensively to keep up with the Cats' forwards and their movement.
Again, the Swans turn it over, this time from Florent, and Kolajasny marks it on the outer wing again. Goes short to Myers, just outside attacking 50. Irrepressible this is from Geelong. Myers to a dangerous spot in attack off the hands of Hawkins, tries to gather the football in this second effort. Coming away with it is Adams, throws it on the boot. Amadi does well to outbody his immediate opponent in Henry and then wins the free kick. No, gives it away. The umpire pointed in the other direction initially. It is a free kick to O'Connor for a throw against Amadi. Handball quickly to Duncan, who lets fly from just outside 50. It's coming around. It won't make the distance. It's punched through by Tom McCartan. Another behind to the Cats, who lead by 30 points. 8.5 minutes gone in the second term, down to Declan Byrne on the boundary.
Yeah, just quickly, Tanner Bruin got another 5 minutes of attention, but he's headed back out there. I'll keep a watch.
Cats by a clean 30. Anything but clean for the Sydney Swans. 9 go on second term. Here is Rampy. Drives it long beyond defensive 50. Up in front, McDonald. Strong contested grab on the outer wing. Lays off the hand pass, Goulden. It's away from Bruin, and now Wicks. Back to McDonald, now Robert involved as well. Logan kept running, goes inside forward 50, wide to Amadi. That was their best chain of the game so far, the Sydney Swans. And here's a chance for Joel Amadi deep in the left forward pocket, 40 out.
Well, it was. I mean, it wasn't pretty, but it was just a bit more chaotic handball. I guess it sort of opened up the Cats a little bit and, allowed them to find some space to come through. Whereas so far this quarter, and definitely in the first quarter, it was a bit more panicked or just straight down the line, which was suiting the Cats defenders. So I think that run and gun game, if they've got to find a way to get it going, that's what helped them.
Joel Amadi, the cornrows in his hair this afternoon, lines up his set shot, and he hits the post.
He liked it off the boot. He was twinkle toes running to the celebration with Tom Papley in the middle of the ground.
29 points Geelong's favour. 10 go on second term. Sunday footy, ABC Sport.
And the prospect of the Sydney Swans going through an entire half on a perfect Sunday afternoon at the SCG without a goal is real. They are just 5 behinds as Rowbottom lays a strong tackle at half forward. Adams gathers it. Here's McInerney. He's seized upon by a couple of Cats and well tackled. Ball up at right half forward for Sydney. It was young Jai Clark with a strong tackle on McInerney. Ball up. Neal and McLean wrestling. McLean tries to palm it down to Rowbottom. It evades him. Good Shepherd placed so that Holmes can run around the boundary line with a couple of bounces. Gets it back now from Dempsey. Handball over the top to Hawkins. Sold him into a bit of trouble. Eventually got the arms free. Holmes kept going. Knocked it forward to Stengel. Just outside 50 now for the Cats. Swans win it back. Here's Heaney. Handball to Cunningham in his own defensive 50. Drives it up the wing.
Mark O'Connor takes the grab in front of McInerney. So Geelong lock it in their forward half with his 29-point lead their way. O'Connor, one of 16 premiership players out there from a couple of years ago. High inside forward 50. Umpire spotted the free kick, which will go Geelong's way to Shannon Neal, who had the arms chopped by Lewis Melican. So he was expecting it either. Shannon Neal will take a set shot here from 25 out on a 45-degree angle.
He's been a presence up there for him, Neal. He's a big unit. 203, but he's been involved in a lot of marking contests. He's been able to bring the ball to ground, create a good contest. Obviously, that's what happens after a while. You start to worry opponents out of it. He hasn't had a lot of the footy, but he certainly had an impact.
Kicked a couple of goals against the Tigers last week, Shannon Neal. This to make it a 35-point break Geelong's way. Nurses it through. They've been near perfect, the Cats, to make the ultimate first half statement here at the SCG. 6-4-40. The Swans just 5 behinds. 12 go on second term on ABC Sport. Your experts are Jason Saddington and Callum Sinclair.
Well, it probably goes against our prediction, Garbs, pre the game, assessing where Geelong were at, but I've never seen them more connected, to be honest.
Amazing.
And I think Swans are very much playing game right on the back foot. Guys like Heaney, Goulden, Warner, they're getting played in an absolute phone booth. They can't even get clear ball. They can't get any sort of overlap run, but Geelong's press has just been absolutely outstanding. I think all over the ground they've had a really complete start to this game.
The amount of marks they've taken on the wings.
Yes.
Their defenders
defensively. They've been fantastic defensively.
Just incredible. They lead by 35 points. Almost 13 minutes gone in the second term here at the SCG, and they win it out of the middle again through Jai Clark. Kicks to centre half forward. Roberts underneath it. Coming in to meet him was O'Connor, though. So a contested ball now to win at half forward. Heaney's in there. Pulls the way of McCartan. Back to Warner. They need him in the game. He's been quiet so far, Chad. Drives it up the wing. Amadi flies. Once again, the Cats winning in that position. Atkins and Heaney going at it, and Atkins is caught holding the ball.
Good tackle.
Strong tackle by Isaac Heaney.
Seems to have fallen behind Nick Dacos in Brownlow favouritism. Isaac Heaney, I'm sure he's not bothered by that at all. Short kick to Errol Goulden.
He'd be thinking about it.
On the outer logo here, Goulden, Geelong by 35 points. Having a strong year himself.
Great kick.
Oh, he finds Marty. Well judged by Marty as well to lead up and mark on the chest. Inside forward 50, the left forward pocket.
Well, it took a great kick, didn't it? Reb in space. I mean, it was electric. It was almost forced to Marty to come out and get into that spot. Because it's been rare. They haven't had the space to be able to kick in and hit a forward that hasn't been able to compete, 2v3 against the Cats defenders. So great kick, Goulden.
Marty's third attempt at a goal. Looking for the Swans first. Midway through this second term. He lets fly from 50 on its way. There it is. At long last. The Sydney Swans have a goal. After 6 unanswered for the Cats to start this game. Still Geelong 6-4-40. Sydney 1-5-11. We've played 15 minutes in this second term on this Sunday afternoon on ABC Sport. Just by the way, I'm not sure this is pleasing news for John Longmire, but this is a sellout because the members area, what they call the red zone, is the member general access area. That's been, for the second home game in a row, been sold out. So if you're a member, you turn up. That's full. You can't be in the members. They'll find you a spot in other parts of the ground if possible. Otherwise, as is the case with Paul and Carolyn, who have texted us on 0437 774 774, after failing to secure a seat, Plan B activated. Found the knob on ABC Sport and listened to you while heading home to watch from the couch. Cheers. And unfortunate for you, Paul and Carolyn, although given the way the Swans have started, perhaps not. But 2 home games in a row and a sellout here for the Sydney Swans at least.
Thanks for listening in. Amadi with the first goal of the game for Sydney. Strong tackle by Adams on Atkins. And that's holding the ball. Atkins caught twice in about a minute. Strong tackle by Adams. A chance for the Swans to get going now. Handball to McInerney in the middle of the ground. Kick to half forward. Well read by Mitch Duncan. Out in front of Sam Wicks, who shakes his head. Not happy with the delivery.
Well, he covered 2 there, Duncan. He had Grundy inside him and Wicks outside, and he covered them both well and was able to still intercept.
He's been poor by foot, McInerney, today. He's had a number of intercepts.
Mitch Duncan in game 285. Gets it back from Tom Stewart now in his own defensive 50.
Kick.
From right half back. Spots up O'Connor on the outer wing on the logo. His kick is poor, though. Probably the one thing that Mark O'Connor's done wrong today. Turns it over to Florent, and he finds Wicks in the middle of the SCG.
Wicks looks at the options. Call to play on now. Walks around Zach Guthrie. Fires out the hand pass here to Goulden. He can kick on his right boot going inside forward 50. Outnumbered down. Oh, his hand pass comes from Jordan to Hayward, who can pop it through from inside the goal square. It wasn't pretty, but the Swans get their second goal. 2-5-17. They trail Geelong, who is 6-4-40. We've played 17 minutes in the second term on ABC Sport. Your experts are Callum Sinclair and Jason Saddington.
But if you talk about what's got them back into the game, Sado, it's their centre clearance work. It just they actually lost the hit out, but what they do after they lose possession, get their tackling pressure in the middle of the ground, causing a turnover, being hot on your feet. It's not an overly complicated game, though, really, is it? Pressure, tackle, just real enthusiasm and attitude and intent around that midfield contest.
Yeah, and I think a bit of intent to try and generate some handball through the middle of the ground as well. I mean, that play there was a couple of handballs, almost just front of centre. It just allows them to get that extra 15 metres, get Geelong's defence a little bit more out of position when they do send it in, and get some one-on-ones. And the Swans are able to get enough players in there to crumb and get an easy goal in the end.
2 in a row for the Swans. The Cats win it clean out of the middle through Tanner Bruin. Drives it deep into attack. Coming out to mid, it was Melican. And then Rampy is caught, but not holding the ball. It'll be a ball up. 25 out, straight in front of the Cats' goals. Hawkins and Grundy. Grundy just tries to smash it clear. Didn't get clean connection. McInerney wins it, though. Back to Melican with a bit of composure. Pokes it towards Wicks. Coming out and reading it well, though, was Duncan. They snap it into a dangerous area. Blakey missed the mark. Tanner Bruin couldn't collect it cleanly. Deep in attack for the Cats. And then Stengel is tackled. Umpire allows play to go on. Eventually they fall on it. Ball up. Deep in attack for the Cats, who lead by 23 points. But that 35-point lead they held a moment ago has been reduced.
18 gone, second quarter, ABC Sport. Grundy missed it with the ball up. Follows up at ground level. Blakey paddles it towards the line here. McCartan there as well. Blakey and Rampy can rush it through for a minor score. It wasn't the most clean look there in defence for the Swans. That is a behind to the Cats. 6-5-41 to Sydney. 2-5-17. 19 gone, second term.
The Lizard, Nick Blakey, brings it back in. Pops it over the top to Taylor Adams, who's having a good game, but that's a dangerous kick. Looking for his old Collingwood teammate in Grundy. The Cats swooped on that one, but their entry inside 50 is marked by McCartan. A chance for Sydney to get some quick rebound out of half-back. He goes short to Lloyd. And just outside defensive 50 to McInerney. Handball to Rampy, and now Warner. He has Wicks over the top. He can mark and go. Just slows things up. And that frustrates the Swans fans a little bit. Cats were set up nicely.
Comes inboard now. Warner wrapped up down there by Number and Stanley. Comes now Patley. Squeezes, kept one. It was Wicks, in fact. Jordan gets it back to Wicks. Hand pass releasing Warner from the flank. 55 out. High toward the hot spot there, but no one's back there apart from Max Holmes.
McDonald has given Warner a bake. He was free on the lead. Warner went over his head, and McDonald has let him know all about it.
Holmes at fullback here for the Cats, who lead by 24 points as we approach time on here in the second quarter on ABC Sport.
But the handball game's working for the Swans. The handball game, the forward handball, just keep running it, try and get the game moving a bit quicker, I think's working for them.
Good spoil by Cunningham. Boundary throw in left half forward for Sydney. Awesome afternoon here at the SCG on a Sunday. Beautiful weather, a sellout. And questions being asked of the Swans. Good handball by Goulden to Warner. This time he goes long and goal. This time it's through. It's taken a little while, but the Chad has arrived at the SCG. That's his big moment. After 7 goals in the last 2 weeks, he's delivered a big one from outside 50. And the Swans have 3 in a row. Cats lead now back to 18 points. A sensational strike from distance from Warner.
We haven't seen a lot of Chad Warner dangerous play so far today, but that's what he can do from stoppage. The momentum's definitely in the Swans' favour, and this is what you want to see, I guess, when you're being challenged and you're well behind. I mean, 6 goals to zip it was. The Swans, you just got to edge your way back, and they've managed to do that, and all of a sudden you're 18 points down, you're back in the game, momentum's with you, but I think it's definitely come off. Their pressure's lifted. They've defensively been a bit more set, the Swans, but that handball chain has been able to get them going a bit more.
Voice of Jason Saddington on ABC Sport as the Cats win the clearance. Bowes a high ball inside 50 as McCartan floats up the intercept there for the Swans.
So the last few inside 50s for the Cats, the Swans have been able to intercept mark, and that's what they were doing to the Swans through that first quarter.
Adams down the line here. Miss Jordan. Connor marks for the Cats.
Thought that was a 50-metre penalty there.
18 points lead here for Geelong. It was as high as 35, as Daniel Garb mentioned. O'Connor again drives it long inside 50. This time Blakey intercepts. Just going back and forth between the arcs as Blakey can send it long here. Man in space is on there for the Swans. Lays off the hand pass. Warner runs by. He's too quick out there for De Koning. Has a bounce close to 50. Who's back there? Amati. Off his fingertips and rolls out of bounds. Kept alive? No, by Heaney, who he called back by the umpire for a boundary throw-in at the Randwick end of the SCG.
Hasn't he lifted Chad Warner in the last few minutes?
6-5 plays 3-5. This is Sunday footy on ABC Sport. Geelong by 18 points as we approach half-time.
Warner all of a sudden up to 13 disposals, the most on the ground. Grundy palms it down to Heaney, the snap on goal. The Swans have another. And their big stars are rising with the occasion. When the question was asked of them, a big goal from Warner, and now Heaney, the clean palm down from Grundy, snapped it through on his left, and the Geelong margin is back to 12 points.
And it's Heaney and Warner. They've certainly lifted through the middle, but again, the Swans defenders, have started to set themselves a bit better. Blakey's intercept marked a couple. They've been able to pick off the Geelong entries inside 50, and from there they've got their running game going through the middle. Warner taking them on. They're prepared to back themselves in a little bit more. It's a faster game for them rather than the slow game, and I think that's what's opened up Geelong's defence, being able to find a way through.
Geelong with the first 6, Swans with the next 4. Declan Byrne on the boundary.
Yeah, all 10 goals down this round again, so this pocket is just ignited this last 10 minutes. It is going off down here.
24 gone, second term. The Swans have found momentum here, and a clearance. Heaney to Rowbottom. Another hurried kick goes high towards half forward. Papley tried to outbody Mullen. Jordan lays off the hand pass. Heaney 45 out, skids it home. 2 goals in a hurry for Isaac Heaney. And the Swans have a roll on now. Only a kick in it from 35 points just minutes ago. Sydney 5-5-35, Geelong 6-5-41, 24 goals second quarter. This is Sunday Footy on ABC Sport. Your experts are Jason Saddington and Callum Sinclair.
And this is the concern that we spoke about at quarter time, Sado, is that they have the ability to score really, really quickly, and the spread of goal kickers is just incredible. Although Heaney and Warner, what a great quarter these two have had, incredibly stepped up. Just before this goal, the one with Heaney and the one with Warner before that, both from stoppage, Geelong would be very, very disappointed. They lost touch at those stoppages. They weren't goal side. Very, very frustrating if you were Chris Scott in the box. Real basic stuff at stoppage, which would just be fine and man, but big centre clearance here for Geelong. They must nullify this game or it's getting out of control. 5 goals in a row for Sydney. 2 on the bounce by Isaac Heaney. The SCG bouncing now. And they win it again in the middle. Socket forward by Papley, deep into attack. It falls the way of Amati. He snapped it, but it went right up in the air. Grundy punches it down to Papley. Almost another one. Through for a behind. And the lead is now 5 points in favour of Geelong, who led by 35. It feels like a couple minutes ago. They are 6-5-41. Sydney 5-6-36. An incredible game of footy here at the SCG.
The crowd has found their voice as well. It's with Collar Jasny. Geelong chip it around their back 50. Zach Guthrie called a play on now with a bounce and a kick beyond defensive 50 to the wing. Up goes Henry. In fact, at the back it was O'Connor who was best positioned. Plays on quickly here for the Cats. Up the eastern wing. Stanley spills it in the contest with Grundy. Blakey mops up now for the home side. Off his preferred left peg. Now goes wide to Roberts. The Swans can go again. Slowed up here as it comes from Roberts to Haywood. Lays off the hand pass. Florent provides some pace as well. Looks at the options. Goes by hand. McInerney. He slips over. Back to Florent. Here's kick smothered again, this time by Henry. And now Haywood's kick goes up in the air. Catch of mine as Blakey wins it down there for Haywood. Smothered again by Henry for the second time. Now they try again. Cameron there for the Cats. Dummies the hand pass. Now it sends it wide. McCartan there first for the Swans. Had an arm pinned down there, and that will be a free kick Sydney's way as Brian Myers pleads his case with the umpire as far as his technique was concerned in the tackle, but it will be a free kick. McCartan now wide to Roberts.
All of a sudden the Swans are set up superbly in defence. Here's Warner, who's had a massive second quarter. Well done by Blitzarves, who zoned off brilliantly in his own defensive 50, just as the Swans were about to take another mark through McDonald to get in front of him. But they can't exit defensive 50. Rampy closes in on Shannon Neal and spoils it over the boundary line, just forward of the wing for the Swans, who were doing what the Cats did to them for large parts of this first half, camping them in their own half. They've kicked the last 5 in a row. 5-6-36 Sydney, Geelong 6-5-41.
On to go before half-time. Grundy in front of Neal. Neal follows up, though. The young ruckman. His kick up the line. Stengel was beaten in the contest by Cunningham. McCartan now can rebound here for the Swans. No, will come back here for the free kick. Tyson Stengel taken high by Harry Cunningham. Regardless of how this half of footy ends, I don't think I've seen 31 points, whatever it is, wiped off so quickly in a game of footy. Stengel goes inside forward 50 here for the Cats. Back when he goes to spoil. Blitzarves claims the mark, and he has paid the mark.
He's played a good game, Blitzarves. He's really got back hard in transition in defence, taking some really good, strong grabs overhead. The hard thing about Blitzarves is that he's probably can never ever get consistent really in one position, because he's always that Mr. Fix-It role for Geelong, which is a massive strength, but he's had a really good game today. He's been all over the ground.
This would be a second-term settler for the Cats after 5 straight goals for the home side. As we head to half-time, Blitzarves sprays it right across the face. That's out of bounds on the full in the dying seconds of the first half.
Never quite looked balanced over that one, Mark Blitzarves. Perhaps the drop punt would have been the better option. Easy to say in hindsight. Rampy from the left back pocket to the wing. Hayward brought it down. Cameron gathered it for the Cats. They have it at centre half forward. Jai Clark spins around Heaney. Handballs to Neal. Kept it in front of him. Loose ball. Kolodjasny picks it up. Gathered well by Blakey after the Hayward tackle. And now they go off centre half back. Time ticking down. Warner is caught. Got the hands free. Floret to Goulden. Can they mark it before the halftime siren? Goulden goes wide. Gathered there by Roberts. The siren will beat the Swans, who went inside 50, but they are back in this football game in a massive way with a 5-goal second term. They are 5-6-36, Geelong 6-5-41. This top 4 clash living up to the billing at the SCG.
Isaac Heaney kicked a couple of goals in a hurry in that second term, so he has 2 for the Swans. The other goals, all singles, Chad Warner, Will Hayward and Joel Amati, who did in fact kick their first for the Cats. Tyson Stengel with a couple of goals in that first term. Singles also to Jack Bowes, Brian Myers, Shannon Neal and Tom Hawkins. It's the Cats by 5 points at the major break. Your experts on ABC Sport are Callum Sinclair and Jason Saddington.
Well, it's the opposite of the first quarter almost. What ended up happening in the game, it's incredible how quickly the Swans scored. I mean, it's how dangerous they are, and it is that midfield. You know, Heaney lifted and Warner lifted, and they were able to explode and ignite the game of football. And it was definitely through, you know, their backs were able to settle, get organised. You know, Blakey started to intercept. Their defenders got on top every time Geelong went in, but through the middle part of the ground, they really got their handball game going. And I think they opened up the Cats' defence. So every time they were going inside 50, the Swans, all of a sudden they had some efficiency that they struggled with in the first quarter. You know, and they're able to find options to get through and really kick goals. And it was the midfielders that kicked goals. And that was huge. And it's that efficiency going inside 50 was really big for the Swans. You know, they went, I think, 15% in the first quarter. And that quarter, I think they went in 13 times for 9 shots on goal. And on the flip side, Geelong went in 14 times for only 4 shots. So the game really flipped on its end, certainly from about 8 to 10 minutes in through that quarter. The Swans' dominance to win the footy, put the pressure on the Cats, get the ball back, but certainly chain their way through the middle of the ground and open up that inside 50 and really pull Geelong's defence apart.
I'm not too sure what the free kick count would have been that quarter, but the Swans were just chasing them hard, ton of holding the footies. I really just can't get over how incredible Isaac Heaney and Chad Warner are to have in your midfield. Like, they are just, their class outside 50 to score is really amazing. I think Geelong, you actually, as you made the point, Sato, how they entered the ball inside 50 was really ordinary. They were skying the ball. Swans were, you know, making them have to do these quick high balls. Nick Blakey started to get a little bit more involved in the game. He took a couple of intercept marks. Tom McCartan felt a little bit more comfortable after the first quarter. He'd be very happy with that. He'd be very happy with that second quarter, because that first quarter, how penetrating that Geelong came inside 50. But I think the centre bounce work of the Sydney Swans was much better compared to what it was with Geelong in the first quarter.
It reminded me for a moment in that second quarter of those West Coast Eagles teams of the mid-2000s, where the game would be delicately poised, and then Judd and Cousins and Kerr would just break it open with their speed. Yeah, that's what Warner and Heaney did for 5 to 10 minutes there. And this Cats side, who were just set up superbly, couldn't go with them.
No, absolutely. I think pre-game we said the midfield was going to be the most important part. And all of a sudden, you know, in the first quarter, you know, Heaney, Warner, even Goulden didn't have much influence on the game of footy. It was about Geelong's defence and then Geelong's efficiency going inside 50. But all of a sudden, once the Swans could turn the game and get their midfield involved in the game of footy by centre bounce, like you mentioned, Cal, by pressure around the footy, and it brought their midfielders into the game. They were able to chain their way through with those handballs and get involved. And then we saw Heaney and Warner break the paint. That's where the effectiveness of what they can do comes into play.
Correct. But if you're Geelong and you were reviewing that quarter, particularly with Warner and Heaney at those stoppages, you would show those clips and you'd go, why isn't someone manning these guys up?
Shut them down.
Yeah.
Don't let them run.
Chad Warner had goal side on the fat side of the ground at that stoppage. Literally no one near him. And Mark Blitzarves on Isaac Heaney in that stoppage, he gave up.
Yeah.
He literally gave up when someone put a block on, and you noticed it straight away after Isaac Heaney kicked that goal. About 3 forwards went to Mark Blitzarves and let him know that he actually gave up on that thing. That's all these players need. Exactly what you said, Garbs. They've got that kind of Chad, Kerr, Cousins kind of dynamic where they can actually just make a decision, flick a switch, and just turn it on.
Declan Bird on the boundary.
Just quickly on Mark Blitzarves, I'm sitting next to the Swans bench, and a couple of times Papley and Goulden came off. They were talking about Blitzarves and confusion as to the role he was playing. So I think that might have played into it as well. He was off for about 6 minutes during a couple of those Swans goals. So I think he was confusing the Swans players with the variety of positions he seems to find himself in.
Not to mention the fact that he looks like Sam de Koning and Tom Stewart and Zach Guthrie as well, which doesn't help all the time.
There's about 19 of them with blonde hair and the headbands.
Just by the way, our experts, former Eagle and Swan, Callum Sinclair, former Swan and Blue, Jason Saddington with you on ABC Sport. It's Geelong by 5 points at the major break, having led by 35 points early in that second term here. So the Swans have found their way back in it. We'll preview Essendon Carlton under lights at the MCG coming up next hour. Of course, round 13 finishing off tomorrow on the King's birthday, the big freeze occasion, Collingwood and Melbourne. Some other news from elsewhere, thanks to our own good friend Mitch Cleary of Channel 7. The AFL has advised Gold Coast the free kick against Mac Andrew on Max King shouldn't have been paid. Obviously, across all the games yesterday, there was controversial umpiring decisions across all 3 games. It should have been called play on, given there was contact between both. The umpire won't be dropped for the decision. They have, though, ticked off on the James Sicily one out of the Hawthorn Giants game, and Garby, I'm sorry to say, the Elliot Yeo situation against North Melbourne. So that news coming through as well, pertaining to umpiring decisions across the slate of Saturday games. We are halfway through the first of our Sunday games here on the King's birthday eve at the SCG. Geelong leads by 5 points over the Sydney Swans. Back with more shortly. Right now, though, time for ABC News.
Hello, this is ABC News with David Rowlands. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is vowing to continue fighting in Gaza until all the remaining hostages held by Hamas are freed. Larry Buttrose has more.
The Israeli leader reaffirmed his intention to fight, despite international concern over the Palestinian death toll in an operation that freed 4 of the hostages still held captive by Hamas. Palestinian officials say at least 210 people, including children, died in the intense aerial bombardment and ground fighting of the rescue operation. Israel's defence minister has lauded the operation as daring, planned brilliantly and executed in an extraordinary fashion. But neighbouring Egypt has condemned Israel's action, calling it a flagrant violation of all rules of international law.
The Queensland Government has announced additional support for first home buyers, but the opposition says it was their idea first. Molly Slattery explains.
Premier Stephen Miles has announced the transfer duty concession for first home buyers will apply to more properties, with the threshold increased from $500,000 to $700,000. It's expected to save some eligible first home buyers as much as $17,000. Opposition leader David Crisafulli called the change a win for the LNP, saying a similar policy was pitched by his party in January. The news comes after Mr Crisafulli last week promised to support all measures in Tuesday's yet-to-be-unveiled state budget.
New South Wales Police have confirmed a 49-year-old water skier has died after a high-speed collision yesterday. Emergency services were called to Sealands, west of Grafton, after reports that a female water skier had been hurt in a high-speed crash on the Clarence River. Ambulance and specialist air paramedics arrived to treat the skier, believed to be from Rosevale in Queensland. However, she could not be revived. The incident occurred while the Queensland ski racing titles were being held nearby. Police have not confirmed whether the woman was competing at the time of the accident. A man has been killed in a road traffic crash on Queensland's Darling Downs this morning. Emergency services were called just before 9:30 to reports of a car rollover at Silverlea, north of Toowoomba. The 72-year-old driver suffered critical injuries and died at the scene. The forensic crash unit is investigating. Haiti's newly selected Prime Minister has been hospitalised in the capital in Port-au-Prince. An official has told the Associated Press that Gary Conille's condition is unknown at this stage. Mr Conille was named to the position in late May by a transitional council. Bulgarians head to the polls today for their sixth parliamentary election in 3 years. Bulgaria, the poorest member of the European Union, has been plagued by revolving door governments since anti-corruption protests in 2020. Analysts say the vote is unlikely to yield a stable government that can end political instability and unblock economic reforms. The latest opinion polls suggest that no party will win a majority. Back home, and a former New South Wales government minister has called for more crowd control after becoming stuck in huge crowds at a Sydney light show. Isabel Rowe reports.
Witnesses have described people screaming as huge crowds tried to disperse after the Vivid Festival drone show at Sydney Harbour last night. Social media video shows people crammed together near train stations, with another attendee telling the ABC he felt trapped. Former Coalition Minister Victor Dominello was there watching the show and says the situation could easily have gotten out of control.
I didn't see any sense of crowd control there. We've got to learn from this.
Police say crowds were larger than expected and extra officers will manage the area tonight.
A surge in tourists visiting Japan has caused critical shortages of aircraft fuel across the country. The BBC's Kat Weiner takes up the story.
More than 20 million people visited Japan last year, mainly to the key cities of Tokyo, Kyoto and Osaka. As in other tourist hotspots across the world, such over-tourism is raising concerns about sustainability and the impact on local communities. Residents in Kyoto, a city known for its adherence to traditional Japanese cultural values, have complained of feeling swamped by visitors and angered by their behaviour. The slopes of Mount Fuji are increasingly congested and strewn with litter. The city of Osaka earlier this year proposed charging visitors an entry fee, something already introduced in the Italian city of Venice that has become a byword for over-tourism.
This is ABC News.
The Men's T20 Cricket World Cup.
He's rolled, that's it.
Live from the USA and West Indies.
What about that? Unbelievable.
Catch all the action on the ABC Listen app.
G'day, this is Becky Cole inviting you to join me each week for Saturday Night Country. For more than 30 years, we've been playing the best in Australian country music, as well as the overseas artists that you know and love. So whether it's the classic tunes that you grew up with, the best new releases, or the interviews of your favourite acts, you'll find it all on Saturday Night Country. Saturday Night Country. Hear it anytime on the ABC Listen app.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2024 AFL season. Every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
A couple of goals against the Tigers last week. Shannon Neal. This to make it a 35-point break Geelong's way. Nurses it through. Marty's third attempt at a goal. Looking for the Swans first. Midway through this second term. He lets fly from 50 on its way. There it is. At long last. Fires out the hand pass here to Goulden. He can kill on his right boot going inside forward 50. Outnumbered down. His hand pass comes from Jordan to Hayward. They can pop it through.
Questions being asked of the Swans. Good handball by Goulden to Warner. This time he goes long and goal. This time it's through. It's taken a little while, but the Chad has arrived at the SCG. Grundy palms it down to Heaney. The snap on goal. The Swans have another. And their big stars are rising with the occasion.
And it is. It's Heaney and Warner. They've certainly lifted through the middle.
The Swans have found momentum here. And a clearance. Heaney to Rowbottom. Another hurried kick goes high towards half forward. Hatley tried to outbody Mullen. Jordan lays off the hand pass. Heaney 45 out. Skids it home. 2 goals in a hurry for Isaac Heaney. And the Swans have a roll on now. Only a kick in it from 35 points just minutes ago.
The 2024 AFL Premiership season.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
It was 29 points at the first change, and at one stage 35 points in Geelong's favour early in the second quarter. The game is very much back in the balance. Just a 5-point buffer after that strong second quarter the way of the Sydney Swans. Welcome back to the SCG. This is Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport. Brett Sprigg alongside Daniel Garb to call the action. Declan Byrne on the boundary. And your experts are Jason Saddington and Callum Sinclair. Your texts remain welcome. 0437 774 774. Get to a few of those shortly. Quickly around the grounds in other sports. In the National Rugby League competition, Melbourne Storm have beaten the Newcastle Knights 36-28. And currently in the first half at Panthers Stadium, Mandy Warringah 12 leads Penrith 4. Also in Super Netball, the second quarter, it is 33 apiece, the Giants and the Firebirds of Queensland, as far as what's happening in other sports around the place. And I mentioned the news from earlier that the AFL has conceded to the Gold Coast that the Max King situation shouldn't have been paid. Should have been called play on, given there was contact between both, and they have ticked off on the other calls coming from the earlier Hawthorn Giants game yesterday, and Elliot Yeo in the West Coast North Melbourne game. All of those tight games with umpiring playing its role quite late in proceedings here. The second half not too far away.
If you're a fan, do you want to hear that? Does it hurt even more if you're told that the wrong decision was made?
It's all a matter of process, isn't it?
I know, but it doesn't. It actually stings as a fan. It's like, yeah, thank you. I was pretty aware. Now you've confirmed it. That we were robbed of a win. Anyway.
Your texts remain welcome. 0437 774 774. Hi, boys. Fran from cloudy Melbourne. Always enjoy listening to you, entertaining and always learning about the game. Hoping against hope, Pies get the job done. Yeah, massive way to finish the round, of course. I mentioned earlier, seems like this round is back-ended as far as the headline value of games. We didn't have the best at the start, unless, of course, you're a fan of the Tigers and the Lions, who had unexpected wins on Thursday and Friday. Of course, yesterday, not high-quality games. Of course, the Hawks having a win there. They're in some good form lately, the Hawks. But we finished strong with Essendon and Carlton tonight. With 2 top 4 aspirants, and tomorrow, of course, big freeze at the G, Collingwood and Melbourne on the King's birthday. So we'll preview the Bombers and the Blues next hour, as I mentioned. Hi guys, the Swans are on top. They're not the best team. They've had a lot of luck to date. This is the beginning of their downhill spiral. Regards, Peter from Bunbury. I'm happy to have that conversation. But if they're not the best team, who is? I understand the point about certain things.
You've missed big there, Peter, unfortunately. You've missed big there.
And Peter did send that text before they kicked 5 goals in a row too. So lucky Peter. 0437 774 774. Always like to get texts from people that are new to the game or on the fringes. Scott from Penrith. Hi team, I'm really enjoying the AFL coverage this afternoon, and I'm a Swans fan. Can you please advise how many minutes are normally in a term regarding these AFL games? Thank you so much. Well, they're 20 minutes plus time on. They roughly go for half an hour, generally. They can be 28, 32, sometimes 36 or something stupid. We've had blackouts at games and quarters go for an hour and all this manner of unusual behaviour, but that's generally it, Scott. So good to have you on board.
Clear as mud.
0437 774 774. The good news is we're all in agreement as an AFL community that it's the right length of games. Obviously, there's no consternation around whether they should be shorter or longer. That comes up every so often.
This is a long game for such a physical sport.
Are we opening that up for discussion?
I was being facetious.
Right, okay.
Talk about that.
I'll back myself, Spriggy. My view is that the game, the quarters need to be shorter. Personally, is 20 minutes. Play more games, though, in my opinion. I reckon if we can get everyone playing each other twice, I think that would be a much fairer and even comp. But I think 20 minutes plus time on is way too long. I think 20 minutes is the key. No sub. That's my view.
The COVID quarters of 16 were too short. I wonder if 18's maybe the
sweet spot
number.
Possibly. Well,
Attendance is dropping off after half-time, apparently, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah. Well, I think as players, it'd be interesting to see what the players think, but you'd probably be happy with a bit of a shorter game, play a bit more often, because then you train a little bit less, Cal.
Exactly right.
You'd rather play more and train less.
I think you could then bring in more 5-day breaks, I believe. More Thursday night games, more Monday night games.
Other sports do it, don't they?
Correct.
So, you think about basketball. A lot of the American sports play often. NFL's a little bit different, but...
Yeah.
I think we're due.
Geelong by 5 points here. No change to our subs, Braden Campbell and Gary Rowan. So no movement on either bench there for the Swans or the Cats. The second half is only a few moments away. A few more numbers, Daniel Garb, to half-time.
Well, Chad Warner and Isaac Heaney had 10 disposals and 9, respectively, just in that second term, with 4 inside 50s for Warner and 4 score involvements for Heaney, just in that second quarter. I mean, that was incredible to watch those two players take charge of the game.
Change the game.
Change the game when the Cats were just cruising. So Warner has 15 for the match, Goulden 14, Heaney has 14. Taylor Adams has been busy with 12, and Grundy really effective in the ruck with 10 disposals. For Geelong, Stewart 13, Myers has been really good with 12 and 4 score involvements, Holmes 12, Cameron's been everywhere as he usually is with 11. And 4 score involvements for O'Connor, Stengel and Myers as well.
Sato, Cal, where does it go from here?
If I was the Cats, I'd be worried just about how quick and effectively the Swans had an impact in that second quarter, but my tip is Swans to take over the game from now on.
Into the second half we go on ABC Sport. You're with Daniel Garb.
Cats lead by 5 points. They dominated the first quarter. Swans blitzed it in the second. What's going to happen in the third? Rowbottom wins it out of the middle, spins around and drives it inside 50. Coming out to meet it well is Jack Henry in front of Logan McDonald. The shadows have now extended fully across the SCG. Packed crowd at a Sunday afternoon. It's a little bit overcast now as well. This match delicately poised as Geelong brings it out to the wing and Cameron marks overhead with McInerney opposed to him.
Cameron on that left boot.
Great
up
kick.
the boundary line. Atkins gets back in space and marks.
Forced the play, didn't it, Cameron's kick?
Taking side of the wing, Tom Atkins. Loading up inside 50. Up there in the top of his McCartan. Shot by Stengel. Good move in with a snap and a goal. A hot start to the second half. Tyson Stengel's got his third. He kicked 2 in the first quarter. That is the perfect start for Chris Scott's man. Stengel's third goal brings the Cats back out to an 11-point lead. 7-5-47. Sydney 5-6-36. Minute gone, third term. Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport.
Oh, it's the impressive kick from Jeremy Cameron, who's actually lining up on the wing. So they're keen to get him involved in the game further up the field. But his kick down the line, he actually put it into space and forced, I think it was Atkins, to actually run onto it and mark it when he wasn't really expecting the ball to go there. That kick opened up the play for the Cats to go inside 50, and then Stengel, who we saw so much of through that first quarter as a dangerous forward, but even early in the second before the Swans got on top, he was able to just get in a fantastic spot again, Crumb, and a wonderful snap. Had too much space.
Cats lead by 11 points. Is he even a centre-half forward anymore, Jeremy Cameron? He's lining up on the
Hybrid.
wing.
Yeah. Hybrid.
Amazing footballer with a free roll. Cats win it again in the middle. They slam it forward. Bouncing ball in the right forward pocket. A wrestle on between Neil and McCartan. They see it over the boundary line. Just runs wherever he wants. Well, Such a difficult matchup.
It's fascinating because you could say, oh, if Jeremy Cameron's getting his ball up on the wing, he's not going to hurt us. But the fact is he still hurts you, doesn't he?
Yeah. Cats by 11. Early stages, third term after ABC Sport. Grundy out of the ruck. Beats Hawkins. Thumps it on his boot. Missed Hayward. It's marked down there by Colin Jasny at centre-half forward. Setting up inside 50 here for Geelong at the round weekend. Colin Jasny goes high inside 50. Melican floats up. Cameron Rove kicks across his body and now thumped through over for a throw-in. On the stoppage inside 50 for Geelong. In attack, they lead by 11 points. 3 gone, third term. ABC Sport.
Looks like Dane Rampy's now got the job on Stengel. I know Harry Cunningham went to him earlier in the game, but that last front and centre goal, he had no one on him. Looks like he's getting a lot more attention now.
He's a problem for the Swans. Boundary throw in deep in attack for the Cats. Grundy slaps it away. Strong tackle on Myers. Spills free to Blitzavs. Handball over the top. Melican is there, just in front of his own defensive goal line. Clears defensive 50. Geelong gather through Kolodjasny though. Hayward with a strong tackle on him. Spills free to Goulden, and here they go. Heaney to McDonald, middle of the SCG to Goulden. Couldn't quite get the handle on it, Errol, but just poked it wide to Warner. He's got a couple of options, puts it over the top for Adams, knocked it in front of him, then fell to the ground. McDonald soccers it forward. It missed the intended target of Papley and goes over the boundary line in the right forward pocket. It wasn't clean from the Swans, but effective. They've moved it from half back deep into attack.
But what enabled it to potentially work, even though it wasn't clean, Garby, was the hard gut run from the Swans midfielders. You know, Gould and Adams, they just pushed hard forward.
Cats by 11. Back in it comes Grundy. Oh, Heaney slipped over there. Atkins first hands to the footy. It's ricocheted off the shins of Adams for the Swans. And now Guthrie collected by Heaney. We'll ball it up again. Getting tons of text through about ideal quarter lengths and other rules of the game, which is always fun to debate. As Heaney here gathers, well rowed, but he pulls his kick a little near side for a minor score. So good stoppage work from Isaac Heaney. Margin is 10 points, Geelong's favour. 5 gone, third quarter. Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
Stewart goes short to Mitch Duncan. The Cats veteran in the right back pocket. What a contributor he's been for this football club. Goes short to Cameron, who's playing on the wing.
Yeah.
Runs around onto that left boot, puts it into a dangerous spot in the corridor, but the Swans read it well. Zoning off nicely there was Hayward. And now Warner to McInerney on the wing. Just gathered it before it hit the turf. Mark paid. Adams is working really hard at the minute. He was involved on the other side of the ground a moment ago. Now he's got it at left half forward. Runs the ball around in his hands. Now drives it into attack. And Amati's marked. Well, Jack Henry got in front of him. It must have gone clean through his hands. And Amati just behind took the mark overhead. He'll kick from 35 out, slight angle to the left.
I think Jack Henry, you'd be disappointed, but Amati did have full control of that ball. Just watching the replay now, it's a nice little kick there from Taylor Adams.
It was a flatter kick.
Correct.
It wasn't the big high ball going inside for the Geelong defenders to really come across and defend. It was a flatter long kick that just got in there a bit quicker, so the Cats defenders couldn't all get in.
After a goalless first term, Amati kicked the Swans first. He's now got the margin back to 4 points with his second goal of the game. Joel Amati with a double. Geelong 7-5-47, Sydney 6-7-43. Early stages of the third term.
And that's the evolution, Sato, of the long kick going inside 50. If you can kind of have really great connection with your forwards and flatten your kick going inside 50, still to a one-on-one contest, don't get me wrong, but it just gives the forward the opportunity to just time his run, have a really good hum, have a really nice jump at the footy. Very, very hard to defend.
I think one thing I've been impressed so far this quarter, which is dangerous a little bit for Geelong, but fantastic for the Swans, is that gut run from stoppage.
Yeah.
You know, when the Swans are winning the ball at the stoppage and getting it going forward, they're really joining in. Goulden, Adams, Rowbottom, they're getting on their bike, and that's what's enabling them to try and chain their way through.
Former Swan and Blue, Jason Saddington. From Eagle and Swan, Callum Sinclair, experts on ABC Sport. Restart back in the middle. Rowbottom backs his way into Stanley. We'll ball it up again. Amati's kicked 2 goals each in his past 3 games. So 6 goals in 3 weeks now for the Amati party. As Adams clears now for the Swans. Tumbles it inside forward 50. Left by Kolodjasny for Duncan. Off by hand to Koning. Again, Kolodjasny this time comes wide with a kick to O'Connor.
So Cameron slipped forward again. Rampy now goes back to Cameron, which means Cunningham, I think, ended up with a match-up on Stengel again.
Connor's kicking in front of a packed members stand at the SCG. Loose footy picked up by Stengel. And now Rowbottom cuts across Holmes to smother. And it goes out of bounds for a throw-in. Stoppage on the wing, not far away from you, Declan Byrne.
Yeah, that's Joel Amati's best return in a season as well. 21 goals. He came off then, got the applause of the whole bench. They love that second goal from him.
The Swans in the post-Buddy Franklin era, having no issues finding goals. Geelong by 4 points here, though. Grundy spun in the tackle. Hand pass comes out wide. Wrapped up down there is Jai Clark over the boundary line for a throw-in between the interchange gates on the western side of the SCG. 7-5 plays 6-7. 8 minutes gone, third quarter. Sunday footy on ABC Sport. Well, you're back with Daniel Garb.
Surprise, surprise, James Rowbottom up to 7 tackles, averages more tackles per game than anyone else in the comp. Grundy wins it clean off the boundary throw-in, gives it to Adams. Swans get it to centre half forward. McDonald palms it down and falls away. McLean bursts through a tackle and gives it to Wicks. Just inside the middle of the SCG. Goes out wide to Heaney, who tapped it over his shoulder at right half forward for the Swans. Jordan's there, paddling away is Cameron, doesn't want to take possession in case he's caught holding the ball. And the umpire says, I will ball it up, despite the football still jostling loose of Cameron's hands. So we'll have a ball up, right forward pocket for the Swans. Chris Scott now looking concerned. Geelong had a 35-point lead midway through the second term. They now lead by 4.
Great to have your company on ABC Sport. McInerney's hand pass. Adams, hurried kick. A little too hot for Hayward. Ricochets to McLean. Handball picked off here by Neal. Slung to ground by McLean. Loose footy. Grundy in the pocket. Balks his way around one. Hand pass to Heaney. Into the back of him was Mullen. Umpire says that's gone over for a boundary, for a behind. So a rush behind in the end at the Swans attacking end. Paddington end of the SCG. It's a 3-point ball game now. 7-5 plays 6-8. 9.5 played third term on ABC Sport.
Here's Tom Stewart. Long kick, out of side, a big leap out there. And one of the Cats with their headband, that is Dempsey. Swans gather it through Florent, kick inside 50. Reading it well is Jack Henry. Missed the mark though. Wicks is roving, his kick is smothered. Spills though the way of Grundy, pedals it in front of himself. Gets it to the third attempt, goes to Jordan in the pocket. Gets around a couple. Left foot snap is across the face. Swans fans were ready to roar and would have been one of the great goals of the season, but on the snap, James Jordan's kick is through for a behind.
Well, he was any bets there for a second, James Jordan. Going with that little curler around from the behind post. 2-point ball game. Geelong, a bit around defensive. 50. Stewart, the pressure from Heaney. Gets it back now as Blitzarves. In fact, it's Jai Clark, I beg your pardon. Finds to Koning. Under pressure, Holmes. Good work from Roberts. Hayward there for the Swans. Hand pass out to Wicks, who just fumbles it over the boundary line for a throw-in on the junction of 50. 2-point ball game. Swans peppering away, keeping that footy locked inside their attacking half early in this third term.
Yeah, Swans pressure across sort of their half-forward line as Geelong are trying to exit. It's really important at the moment because if Geelong can get through, their forward line's that moving that much and pulling apart the Swans defence. If they can get through, they're going to be dangerous, but they just can't get through at present.
Close handball at the boundary line. Rowbottom is happy to see it over in front of the likes of Warner and Blakey, who are coming back on the SCG now. Swans run a couple of interchanges. Warner 17 disposals. Leads all comers alongside Errol Goulden. Boundary throw-in, flush on the wing. Cats lead by 2 points. What a game of football we have in store for us in the second half. Adams just drives it forward, and then Roberts smartly taps it to Goulden, who's able to get free and kick towards centre-half forward. McLean palms it down for Warner. Torpedo effort, top of the square. Ball in dispute. Heaney gathers it. Handball over the top looking for Hayward. Well done to Koning. Intervened with the spoil and then taps it over for a rush behind. And that is a 1-point lead now to the Cats.
They've been good with the deep scramble at the moment, the Cats.
Duncan beyond defensive from the kick out. Blitzarves takes a towering mark on the wing. They start to surge forward in the hoop jumpers. Blitzarves kick up towards half forward. Back there, Milliken lays it out there only as far as Hawkins. He kicks hurriedly as well. Here, the veteran Cat. But Blakey jots back in space in the right back pocket. Across the defensive goal mouth now for Lloyd. The switch is on here for the Swans. They come back members side beyond defensive 50. Roberts in the contest with Clark. Follows up, beats Grundy for pace. Straightens up from 45. Jai Clark. But back there and marking on the last line is McCartan. And the mark was controlled, so no change to our score. Geelong 7-5-47. Sydney 6-10-46. 13 gone third term.
Tom McCartan back in the team after 3 weeks out with concussion issues. That's a strong mark there by Isaac Heaney. He's having a fantastic game. He goes corridor for Taylor Adams, who stretches overhead and hauls it in. Pops it over the top for Florent. Now Lloyd. It was a bit too quick for him. Lloyd and Florent weren't on the same page and they cough it up at centre half forward. The other Cats can go. O'Connor to Atkins. Clever by Clark just to put a boot out and just keep it going forward. Close now. Finds its way to Stengel. 60 out. Pokes it over the top. Wasn't the best effort. Well read by Heaney. But Clark has it. Looks for Dempsey, who leaps. Didn't quite time it. The ball will bounce over the boundary line. Left forward pocket for Geelong, who didn't make the most of that opportunity.
Certainly not, Sato. That was set up beautifully then for a mark inside 50. Just thought Stengel just took a couple of extra steps that he didn't need to take. Hawkins had timed his lead beautifully. Definitely Garbs, a missed opportunity there from the Cats.
Long by a point. 14 going third term, ABC Sport. Back in it comes inside 50 for the Cats. Grundy first hands to it though. Now follows up at ground level. Needs support. Heaney hacks it forward. Strickles beyond defensive 50. O'Connor there for the Cats. Wrapped up McDonald, and the umpire will ball it up on the point of the arc.
This looks like it's really set up for that turnover game. If you're out and you go and you turn the ball over, I think you're really going to get hurt back the other way. So it's whichever team can hold their nerve and be really clean.
Solo in the ruck. Stengels kick up. Another Warner crashes the pack. Nick Revolt style to pull it down. Umpire says play on. Picked off here. Atkins to close. Who can snap, and the Cats on a quick turnover get it back and make full advantage of that through Brad Close. A little bit of breathing space here for the visitors. It's only 7 points though, 8-5-53, Sydney 6-10-46, 15 gone third term on ABC Sport. Your experts are Callum Sinclair and Jason Saddington.
I'll tell you what, I know it was a great goal there from Brad Close, but if you just want to have a look at courage, look at Chad Warner's effort. I know it's hard for those listening at home, but back with the flight, that was Nick Rewald, Jonathan Brown style, but terrific finish there from Brad Close. But Chad Warner, I'll tell you what, he's everywhere. His impact on this game is just... He just wants to win. Nice finish there from Brad Close, though. What a terrific response Geelong have had at the start of this game.
They lead by 7 points. We've gone 15 minutes in the third term. Awesome mark by Warner, but it was touched off the boot. Swans players, though, went to Warner and said, well done on the effort. He's got it here in the middle of the ground, gives it to Goulden, drives one into the chest of Papley, who marks at centre-half forward. Tells the man on the mark to go back a couple of metres and now pops it over the top for Amati on the lead, marking 30 out, 45-degree angle to the left.
Well, he had a lot of space there, Amati. It was a good clearance work from the Swans, and the quick hit forward, I think, with the mark at the top of the 50. But then that ball into Amati wasn't that fast from Papley. I don't know what happened with the Geelong defence. I couldn't quite catch that, Cal, but they certainly got caught napping, and there was a lot of space for Amati.
Amati looking for his third of the game, draws it back beautifully and through. It's seesawing at the minute, goal for goal. Geelong's lead back to a point. Cats are 8-5-53. The Swans are 7-10-52, and Joel Amati has 3 of those 7 goals for Sydney.
The game's got that feel that it's really opened up and it's going to get quite fast, and it certainly has the last sort of 5 minutes and perhaps the whole quarter. And I think the worry for Geelong is if the Swans are going to be clean and actually get their way through, they're probably going to be a lot more dangerous than Geelong are in a fast game. So, the Cats probably need to find a way to pressure that ball, force a turnover, because they will catch them out the other way. But if it's going to stay fast and the Swans stay clean, they're probably going to be able to score pretty quickly.
Jason Saddington, former Sydney Swan and Carlton Blue on ABC Sport. 1 point ball game Geelong's way. Midway in this third term. As we approach the Sunday twilight here in Sydney on the restart. Right bottom hand pass off to Warner on the bounce. Loose bend now McLean just hacks it forward on the volley. Duncan bursts off the half-back line, runs into trouble of Rowbottom. Intercepted again. Florent run down, though, there by Henry. Back to Myers. Now it comes loose. They'll rebound the football through Bowes, the Cats. Up the eastern side they go. Before Melican parks himself under it and takes the intercept mark. Retreats back inside defensive 50 to Rampy. And the Swans will just settle things down for a moment.
And the game's just settled down a bit in terms of both teams having a say now. After the Cats blitzed it early, and the Swans responded superbly. Here's Goulden, finds Warner, middle of the ground. He slips, though, and has to get rid of it, or he'll be caught holding the ball. So the Cats get it back through Clark. Now Bowes gives it back to Jai Clark, who's having an impact, the youngster. Works it out wide to Dempsey, who just sidefoots it inside 50 for Myers. Wasn't that a clever kick with the instep? And Myers has marked 40 out and a 45-degree angle to the left.
That's what I'm talking about right there. That's the game at the moment. I think the Swans, if Warner doesn't slip and he's able to get through, the Swans are going to keep scoring. But the fact that he slipped and they turn the ball over, the Cats are going to score on the rebound.
And the connection and waxing through Goulden and Warner at the moment, particularly by hand, it's a stoppage, a centre bounce. They've brought their own footy, those two.
Brian Myers kicked the first of the game. This one is across the face. He's got such a beautiful kicking action, albeit unique. That one just goes across the face. So the Cats lead by 2 points, down to Declan Byrne on the boundary.
Yeah, Cats big man Shannon Neal has got his right quad strapped really heavily. Did some run-throughs just before. Looks like he'll come back out, but we will keep an eye on Neal.
Still no movement as far as Gary Rowan there, sir, nor Braden Campbell. This little 1-2 hand pass here. Florent to Blakey beyond defensive 50 as O'Connor makes the contest on Wicks. Guthrie on the rebound here for the Cats. Puts them back inside 50. Florent again can rebound the football. Blakey to McInerney runs into trouble now. Holmes got him. Had plenty of time holding the ball. Just making errors at all the wrong times. The Swans still in this game. But Max Holmes can take a set shot here from just beyond 50 to extend the Cats' lead as we approach time on in the third quarter.
The pressure really is a top two team pressure game. I think Max Holmes, isn't he just a terrific footballer? He's got that real offensive pace to his game, his ability to execute at a high skill level, but the leadership and attitude to do stuff like that's fantastic.
One of their best players this year, Max Holmes, who set sail from 55. It misses to the right-hand side. The Cats can't put this game away just yet. 3 points is the margin. 19.5 gone, third quarter. Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
They have to capitalise on these turnovers.
They've got their defensive mojo back, though. They're just making it difficult for Sydney now, and they do so again through Zach Guthrie, who just eased the ball over the boundary line in that contest with Hayward. So the throw-in just forward of the wing, favouring Geelong, who kicked the first 6 goals of the game. Sydney would kick the next 5. Cats lead by 3 points. Stanley knocks it forward, but it favours McInerney at left half back for Sydney. Handball to Warner. Kicks a high ball to centre half forward. Leaping is Marty. Couldn't quite take the market. Good purchase on it. Atkins is there, roves it well to Jasny, and now Guthrie gets rid of the Amati tackle. Swans closing here on Geelong at half forward. Grundy picks it up, but his ruck opponent in Stanley wraps him up. Ball up left half forward. Isn't this a fantastic football game? It is hot in the clinches. The standard is superb.
Up it goes. Grundy and Stanley as Roberts slays the tackle on Connor. Again, the umpire says, give it to me. Try again. Grundy taps down to O'Connor. The Cats can clear. Wobbly ball up the western wing. Overrun by Blakey. Hawkins taps out the advantage of Cameron. He evades Milliken. Hurry kick inside forward 50. 1-on-1 back there as Goulden did well out in front of Bowes to force it through for a rush behind. 4 points is Geelong's lead. 21 gone, third term. ABC Sport, Jason Saddington, Callum Sinclair.
I reckon those last few inside 50 fast plays for Geelong, they're going deep to the goal square to try and catch their Swans defenders out goal side. They're better off pulling it a bit more back corridor because I think at the moment the Swans defenders are getting hard back in towards the square. If they can just set it up, I think the Geelong player will get it a bit more up the ground.
Blakey took the market, left half back. Heaney's caught high by Atkins, and Heaney gives it to Atkins afterwards. Did not like that treatment. Blakey had his legs taken out of the marking contest just earlier. So a couple of cheap hits from the Cats. Free kick to Heaney. Goes to half forward. Amati has now given away a free kick. Amati's had the better of Jack Henry for large parts of this game, but Henry the better in that contest. Wins the free kick at half back. Goes short to Guthrie. Now Jasny switches it out wide and finds Myers.
Myers with some run on the outer wing. Out to a 2-on-2. Cunningham goes up there as Bowes with a spoil in there as well. It's off and over for a throw-in. 65 around from Geelong's attacking goal. Randwick and Declan Byrne on the boundary.
Yeah, Nick Blakey's staying out there, but he did get cannoned into by O'Connor, so he's limping around a bit and he's trying to run it off.
Beautiful twilight scenes. Pink and purple skies here in Sydney. And a hot game of footy to boot. Geelong by 4 points. Back in it comes on the outer side. Through traffic, Bruin did well. High ball inside 50 to 2-on-2. Milliken with the spoil this time to see it over for a throw-in. We love a close game, don't we? The one thing we don't want is an email or an AFL statement sometime tomorrow that says the AFL wishes to advise that the decision given late in the fourth quarter between Sydney and Geelong, blah, 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 blah. Keep it clear of that.
We said before the game, whenever these two meet, something eventful happens. It's looming that way again. Here's Holmes to Cameron, just inside 50, hemmed up on the boundary, left half forward. It's across the face of goal. Is that marked before going through for a behind from Melican? It is. Well, the umpires will review it, of course. Yeah. It looked like it was taken just before across the line. Excellent grab from Melican. But this allows everyone inside the SCG to catch their breath for a moment. This game has just been so absorbing.
Yeah, the game's been quick. Does this slow the game down now? I want to keep it moving, Spriggy Garvey. Keep it moving.
It kind of appears that it's the only way to score, really, is with pace and explosiveness from the contest, because both teams defensively, when it's slowed down, they're actually set up pretty well, and it's quite hard to score. But
100%.
As you said, Sato, that kind of turnover game off half-back is really the only way you're going to be able to do it at the moment.
Just reviewing this Melican mark, the soft call is that it was marked before crossing the behind line. And I think we have confirmation of that via the arc as well.
Yeah.
We do. So the Cats lead by 4 points, 8-8-56. Sydney a 7-10-52.
Melican, short kick to Rampy. Veteran defender. It's 34, by the way, Dane Rampy. Turned 34 last week. Here's the corridor here, the Swans. On the bounce, Jordan to Heaney. Takes on Henry, and now wide it comes from Adams. Out to Goulden on the wing. How do they surge forward here, the Swans? They haven't led in this game yet. They were 35 at one stage. Goulden comes inboard to find Lloyd. Just forward of halfway. 25 gone, third term. Geelong by 4 points or an ABC Sport. And now it's marked by Cunningham, 65 from goal. Lays it off by hand to Rampy, and that raking left boot deep to the goal square. Who's up there? Grundy at the back. Roves it. Snaps and hits the post from close range. So they're again trying hard here, the Swans, but they still trail by 3 points. 25 gone, third quarter. Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
Got a bit excited there, the Swans big man. Had a bit more time than he knew. Only one goal as a Swan. Didn't expect to rove that off the contest, and it's a bit quick releasing it. The Cats work it out to Cameron, who is running everywhere around the SCG. Marks it at halfback. Goes short to O'Connor, who's been fantastic. That is not a clever handball, though, to Cameron. Cameron's so good, he's able to pick it up. Finds Holmes. The Swans seize upon him. Wicks picks it up to Rampy. McLean now to Adams. At centre half forward. Handball inside 50 to Wicks, who now exits the 50, but pops it over the top. And Thomas Papley marks. He'll kick from probably on the paint, really, of the 50 on a 45-degree angle to the right. As we go down to Declan Byrne on the boundary.
Nick Blakey's just hobbled off, holding his right hamstring. We'll keep a look at that one.
It could be an issue for Sydney.
It's disappointing from the Cats, isn't it, to get the ball up to halfway, look really good. It just shows it's a fundamental error of just your handball. Like, they shouldn't even really given that handball off the contest there at all, and just shows how crucial what part of the game is.
Three-time leading goal kicker at the Swans, Tom Papley. He's off and running because that one's through. He's run 30 metres to give some high fives to his Sydney teammates and rev up this crowd. He is the Energizer Bunny of the Sydney Swans. Big goal by Papley. Swans now lead for the first time today by 3 points as we go down to Declan Byrne on the boundary with some big news.
Yeah, I told you about Shannon Neal, who was doing a few run-throughs. He had that quad strapped. Well, he hasn't even come back on. Gary Rowan has, so Geelong have activated their sub. Neal is out. Rowan is out there as we speak.
Gary Rowan, a former Swan himself, who's won games here for the Sydney Swans in tight finishes. This is their first lead, by the way, of the game.
Well, that sub probably doesn't impact the game at all for Geelong. It's probably the one that you want anyways, and to take out the 203, bring in the running player the way the game's been played now. It's very quick. You're right, though, Cal. It was a costly turnover from the Cats on the wing, allowed the Swans to go inside 50.
Late in the third term from the restart. Rowbottom wrapped up here. Free kick, Sydney. Fires off a hand pass to Warner. He shows good dash. High inside forward, 50 to the 2-on-2. Thumped forward by Jack Henry for a minor score. Sydney 8-12-60, Geelong 8-8-56, 28 going third quarter. Sunday now, twilight footy on ABC Sport.
I'd love to see the GPS data on Tom Papley after he kicks a goal. He'd have the highest sprint efforts out of anyone in the competition.
And he always seems to kick them at these stages of the game. Third quarter, when it's delicately poised, delivers a big goal. Swans have won a big ball here on the outer side. Rowbottom gets it to Goulden. What a kick. Inboard to Warner. He'll mark in a dangerous spot and find that man in Papley again, who just turns his back on everyone, hasn't even had a look, and says after kicking one from almost the same spot a minute ago, I'll have another crack from just outside 50.
I'm just watching the Swans defence. They're trying really hard to get Melican off Gary Rowan. They're trying to find a suitable matchup there. That's probably where Nick Blakey would be quite handy, actually, if he was on the ground, but it'd be quite interesting to see what they do.
Can Papley make it 2 in a minute from long distance? This one is through! Oh, Tom Papley! He is the prototype big moment man at the Sydney Swans. Delivers goals when they need them more than anyone else. And after trailing all game, the Swans now lead by 10 points off the back of 2 Tom Papley goals from distance.
I was actually thinking, Sato, he's actually had a pretty quiet game up until the last kind of 3 or 4 minutes, but I guess that's what you take with small forwards and how they can impact. You know, it's very rare that you have a small forward impact for 4 quarters, but a player like him, all he needs is probably a couple of moments, and it has a big impact on the game.
Oh, just the energy that brings the group too. I mean, you can see after both goals, he's either sprinting to get some high fives off a player or they're sprinting to him to get around him.
They've kicked 6 of the past 8 goals in the game, the Swans. Wrapped up in the middle and will ball up again.
Nick Blakey hamstrings are concerned, though. It's been so important for them this season.
It goes. Grundy, hand pass to Rowan. He can clear through the traffic now inside 50 again. They've got Swans out the back. Henry's beaten by Hayward, overrun by both of them. Mopped up by De Koning. Now Stewart shares it. Oisin Mullen to the outer side here where it's McInerney. Goes down the path of Adams. Didn't have room to kick. Fires out a hand pass. Now it's Holmes gathering for the Cats. Hand pass worked inboard again. They can rebound the football through Jai Clark up the western side. Rampy in the contest with Cameron. Out there for the Cats. Dempsey beats a couple off to Rowan. He's got the fresh pair of legs here, the sub. Goes inside forward, 50 to the chorus of Booze, where it skids out though in vacant space to Goulden, and the Swans can rebound.
He just doesn't tire Errol Goulden. Drops back deep inside his own defensive 50 to gather that football and has not broken stride since. He got it to Warner, who gives it back to him. Incredible. Now they work it up the wing to Wicks. Took the mark and played on Sam Wicks. Has a bounce. Draws a man. Handballs over the top to Jordan. He bounces one forward to Heaney. Ducks around a Cat and then centres it for the lead of Papley. It's all on the Swans' terms now. And Papley will go for 3 in a row from distance. No, he won't. He'll spot up a man that he likes inside 50 in McInerney. It bounces towards him. His kick on goal fails to capitalise on the brilliant piece of play. It's through for over behind. Sydney lead by 11 points. They are 9-13-67. Geelong 8-8-56. 31 minutes gone in the third term. Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport.
Papley was on identical spot he was from where he kicked the last 2. He should have gone back for another shot.
Dying seconds of this third term. The Cats on the kick out, drive it long beyond defensive 50. Lloyd's out the back there for the Swans. Ushered toward the boundary line by Myers. The other though here, Florent for the Swans. Kicks to find Wicks, just attacking side of the wing as we find ourselves at the 3-quarter time siren. A quarter in which Sydney seized the lead after trailing by as much as 35 points midway through the previous quarter. They lead 9-13-67 to Geelong 8-8-56 at the final change here at the Sydney Cricket Ground. Declan Byrne on the boundary line.
Just quickly on Nick Blakey, no movement for Campbell. Blakey got a bit of attention on it, but I think it's just more of a corky or a knock from that collision, so he looks like he'll play out the rest of the game.
Geelong did make their sub in that third term. Shannon Neal with a bit of soreness, with Gary Rowan entering the game in time on of that third quarter. The goal kickers so far with Marty having 3 for the Swans. Papley with 2 in a hurry in that third term. Heaney also has 2. Singles also to Warner and Hayward. Meanwhile, for the Cats, Tyson Stengel kicked his third. It was the first goal of the second half, and the rest are all singles with Bowes, Hawkins, Myers, Close and Shannon Neal, who was subbed out in that third term. It is the Sydney Swans by 11 points at the final change. It's a Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
Hey Google, play the footy on the ABC.
Did you know you can now listen to the footy on your smart speaker?
Oh, that is amazing!
Play ABC AFL.
Time to steady and pull the trigger!
Get the best call, the biggest experts in the game, every round of the AFL season.
Can he bend it back? You bet he can!
On your favourite station, ABC Radio. Your home for footy. Now on your smart speaker. This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2024 AFL season. Every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Singles kick up and under. Water crashes the pack. Nick Revolt style to pull it down. Umpire says play on. Picked off here. Atkins to Close, who can snap, and the Cats on a quick turnover get it back and make full advantage of that through Brad Close.
Goulden drives one into the chest of Papley, who marks at centre half forward. Tells the man on the mark to go back a couple of metres and now pops it over the top for Amati on the lead, marking 30 out, 45-degree angle to the left. Amati looking for his third of the game, draws it back beautifully and through. It's seesawing at the minute, goal for goal. Geelong's lead back to a point.
The game's got that feel that it's really opened up and it's going to get quite fast, and it certainly has the last sort of 5 minutes.
Three-time leading goal kicker at the Swans, Tom Papley. He's off and running because that one's through. He is the Energizer Bunny of the Sydney Swans. Big goal by Papley. Swans now lead.
Yeah, I told you about Shannon Neal, who was doing a few run-throughs. He had that quad strapped. Well, he hasn't even come back on. Gary Rowan has, so Geelong have activated their sub. Neal is out. Rowan is out there as we speak.
Can Papley make it 2 in a minute from long distance? This one is through. Oh, Tom Papley. He is the prototype. Big moment man at the Sydney Swans.
The 2024 AFL Premiership season.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
Swans by 11 points here, three-quarter time at the SCG. You're with Brett Sprigg, Daniel Garb, Callum Sinclair, Jason Saddington and Declan Byrne. As your Sunday winds down, still a lot of footy to come. Under lights at the MCG next for Essendon versus Carlton on King's Birthday Eve, where we find Corbin Middlemass.
Huge game, Spriggy, for both teams. They're expecting 92,000 in the house tonight. There has been sweeping showers throughout the day and it is cool, but hopefully we still get around that 92,000 figure. If they're able to get to that mark, it'll be the biggest home and away crowd ever between the two clubs. Never before have they had as many people watch Essendon and Carlton. Interest for a whole lot of reasons. The little subplot is that the Mackay twins will play one another for the first time tonight. They've both been in the league for 9 seasons, and yet it's the first time Harry and Ben will go head-to-head. The mirror image twins, of course, Harry Mackay, the left footer, and Ben, the right footer from Essendon. It's the second favourite for the premiership flag at the moment, the Carlton Footy Club, up against the team who currently sits second on the ladder in the Bombers. So all of that come tonight. King's Birthday Eve, a clash in which they're hoping to try and make a regular event. We're still about an hour away from Team Spriggy, so no rush here. Brad Scott, the coach of the Essendon Football Club, to join us pre-game. We'll follow you in after that exciting final turn to come at the SCG.
Great stuff, Corby. Thank you. Yes, indeed. Can't wait to finish things up here and see how it all concludes, and then head to Essendon Carlton with a massive way to finish the round, of course, that game tonight, and, of course, tomorrow on the King's Birthday at the MCG, Collingwood versus Melbourne. 0437 774 774. Plenty of text coming through. We're pondering all kinds of things like the length of games, and I'll get to a few of these post-game when we've got time. But Paul from Mount Dunedin says, hey, lads, during the country round, let's do country footy reserves, 20 minutes, and no time on. No time quarters, and sit back and enjoy the time wasting when you're 2 points up. Yeah, you see some lower grades have the 20-25 minutes, and it's just a flat. There's a few things here about umpiring and the rest of it, so I'll get to that, as well as the ever-present conversation around equalisation. We had one here, Mitch. I'll get to them afterwards. There's a whole bunch of text to work through. 0437 774 774. In the meantime, the stuff that matters most is what's happening on the park, and it's the Cats by 11, the Swans by 11 points at the final change. Your experts, Jason Saddington, Callum Sinclair.
Yeah, Sado, it's very cliche, and I know we say it a lot, but just the Swans midfield, and the midfield battle is really going to actually determine the end result of this game. But I think Geelong have got to do a lot of work in nullifying those guys like Heaney, Goulden and Warner in the middle of the ground. Probably a name that we haven't probably spoken about that's probably set the scene in there is probably Brodie Grundy. I've just seen some stats. He's had 20 touches, 20 touches, 26 hit-outs, 12 of those to advantage, and 10 score involvements. Like, if you're looking at someone that's a barometer and setting the scene for those mids, you'd think Brodie Grundy is going to have a nullified quarter from Breeze Stanley if Geelong are to win.
These sides played a draw this time last year, 54 apiece. Swans by 11 points here as the final term is underway. Heaney first clearance, hand pass over his shoulder, goes straight to Kolodjasny though. The Cats are away through Holmes from the outer wing. Drives it long towards the flank where Hawkins is outnumbered, and it's intercepted by Ollie Florent.
The one goal for Tom Hawkins. A big goal early, but he's been quiet since. McCartan with an excellent job on him. That was a strong mark by Florent. Amadi with an excellent grab. Has he paid it? Yes, he is. On the wing on the outer side, he had to juggle it. He then got hit as he grasped it at the second attempt, but it was paid according to the umpire. Goes short to Lloyd, and that's 50. Hawkins wasn't set on the mark properly. Stepped forward as Lloyd took a step forward, and 50 was paid against Tom Hawkins. So Jake Lloyd will be marched to just inside the paint.
Yeah.
And we'll have a kick, Lloyd, to put the Swans 17 points up.
Yeah, I think Hawkins came in from behind where Lloyd marked the footy. If you come in directly from behind and step around the front, you're going to get paid 50.
This would hurt the Cats to start the last term. Jake Lloyd guides it through for his first goal of the game, second of the season. And Sydney lead by 17 points, 10-13-73. The Cats 8-8-56 after Geelong led by 35 points midway through the second term.
It's not the start that you want as a Geelong player or a Geelong supporter, to give up a cheap goal when you've probably just been holding on to the game through that third quarter. I think the Swans dominate in terms of their fast play and get the ball moving forward. They look the most dangerous. And what you want to start the last quarter is with a bit of possession and a bit of football in your front half. And the fact that you give up a nice cheap goal to start the quarter makes it very difficult. But the Cats, they need to find a way to win the ball from the stoppage here or from the centre of the ground, get some ball in the front half so the defenders can set up and hopefully keep sending the ball inside 50.
Feels like a night game now. Dark skies overhead, Swans by 17. Will it get much darker here for the Cats as clearance goes the way of the Swans and Rowbottom. High inside 50, and Marty on the bounce, lost his footing, parries it out towards Hayward, turns blind, floats a hand pass back to Goulden on his preferred left side. Long raking ball inside 50, Heaney goes up, spills the grab. They try to rebound here, the Cats. They do so eventually through Blitzarves. Wobbly ball beyond defensive 50. Spilled here for the Swans and Lloyd. McCartan knocks it back the other way into the path of Stengel. Lloyd has support there in the form of Florent. And off a step, his kick goes up towards half forward.
They'll converge on the football at half forward. Warner's there, just guided it towards Hayward. The handball to Goulden. Another possession for him off his right, marked by Jordan. He's got the job on Tom Stewart today. He's done a pretty effective one to keep Stewart quiet, and he's outmarked him there, and will kick on a 45-degree angle, 50 out.
Be a big goal if he kicks this. If I know anything about this group, they'll go straight to Tom Stewart and really get stuck into him.
18 disposals for Stewart, but he hasn't had the impact on this game that he often does. James Jordan is the lockdown man for the Swans from 50. The crowd tells you the story. Big goal, James Jordan. He does this so often. The defensive work capped off with a goal. Swans lead by 23 points.
Well, it's a fair turnaround from what we saw in the first quarter. I know we're stepping back a fair bit here, but I mean the dominance Geelong had through that first quarter to to where we are now, I mean, it's a totally different ballgame. It's actually looking like it's at a point like Swans by how far?
Yeah.
Swans by how far? They're totally in control of this game. They're getting so much run from the middle. They're winning stoppage. All the ball is in their front half. The Cats just can't find a way to get their hands on the footy and try and work their way through.
So their last home game, Saturday, round 10, Friday night game, trailed by 26 against the Blues, won by 52.
It's heading that way.
The turnaround could be quite great. Once they get a roll on here, the Swans. 5 gone, final term. They lead by 23 points here, the home side. Stanley wins a hit out here. Down to Bowes. Myers beaten there by Florent, who peels off his man. And free kick here going the way of the Cats, and Atkins, who is taken high. Waste no time, popping it inside 50. Cameron leads up. Big overhead grab as he falls to his left, deep in the right forward pocket. Right side for a left footer. He'll come around on the angle here, Jeremy Cameron. He's had an influence, but not by way of goals. He tries to straighten up here. Has he got enough of that? He seems to think so. Umpire agrees. Well, the Cats need more of that. It's back to a 17-point ball game. Geelong 9-8-62. They trail Sydney 11-13-79. 6 gone, final term Sunday. Twilight footy on ABC Sport. Your experts are former Swan and Blue Jason Saddington, former Eagle and Swan Callum Sinclair.
I think the Geelong were very lucky that Brodie Grundy wasn't on the goal line there. I just saw Jakey Lloyd just have a few words to Brodie, just telling him to, mate, know your role, get on the goal line, because dare to say, if there was a ruckman down there, I think he might have had a crack at getting his hands to it.
Jeremy Cameron, still the leading goal kicker at the team on the other side of the bridge. GWS, a 9-time leading goal kicker there.
You're right there, Cal, though, because I reckon Rampy got a fingertip on it, but it was just behind the line.
And he's cut this margin back to 17 points in favour of the Swans with his first goal of the game. That was important for Geelong, but this man, Errol Goulden, who gathers it in the middle of the ground, is causing all sorts of problems. Does not stop running. Just wheels around and then just puts it out in front of Brodie Grundy, who was surely caught high in that marking contest. Yes, he was. Excellent kick from Goulden, who gets it back from Grundy. Drives it forward for possession number 30 to Goulden. Off the back of the pack, deep in attack for Sydney. Well done by Mullen to get away from Papley's tackle. They turned it over. It's McInerney who intervenes. He cut in front of Jai Clark. The kick came from Stewart, and McInerney is marked 30 out directly in front.
Tell you what, Sutto, very interesting kick there from James Stewart, being pinned that deep.
Tom Stewart
being pinned that deep in defensive 50. Very high risk. You'd think that the easy decision would just be to clear the ball high and get it out and pay a bit more territory.
McInerney read it well and capitalises. Another for the Swans. The ladder leaders lead by 23 points. 12-13-85. Geelong 9-8-62. They have been sublime from the midpoint of the second term.
And I think that's what's happened to their game, Cal, is that they've really struggled to get any sort of ball movement going through this second half. Geelong, that Stewart's like, well, I'm going to try and come back inside. I don't know, try something different. It just wasn't an option that was on. And an easy intercept. And apart from the goal that they got from a free kick in the middle of the ground that got to Jeremy Cameron, they've really struggled to get anything going to get into the front half. So Stewart's pulled the trigger on something that's not quite there, and Swans just get the quick one back.
Just quickly off the text, give us some love, say Mick, Darryl, Sue, Beck and Simon. Loving this seesawing contest. Beers around the fire at Jamieson are going down well.
Yeah, Swans, all right.
23-point leaders here at the SCG. As for a clearance, Goulden taps out towards Grundy. Paddles it to his own advantage here as the former Magpie and Demon is worked away by Jai Clark of the Cats. Now in space. Roberts collected by Rowan. They'll ball up again.
Campfire sounds good. I might
absolutely
jump there for a little Savvy B.
No, you've had that's a different one.
I know. I thought I'd throw that in there though.
Someone's offered you a Savvy B on another correspondent here anyway. Sato, everyone's well refreshed on this.
Drink responsibly.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a public holiday eve in a lot of parts of the country. 23 minutes 23 points is the Swans lead here. Get my train of thought back on track here. Roberts back to Blakey. I'm thirsty as well. Goes off half back here for the Swans. Out to the western wing. Up in the contest. McLean up against Zach Guthrie. Wins it to ground. Umpire lets them play.
Unlucky for McLean.
And meantime, Wicks lays the tackle on Zach Guthrie. Will ball up at right half forward here for the Swans, who lead by 23 points. 10 gone final term on ABC Sport.
Grundy's having another massive game and he wins another big tap out. Spills the way of Matt Roberts. His kick is a grubber effort. Gathered by Myers. Handballs it to a dangerous spot at centre half forward for Sydney. Gathered by Lloyd. Now picked up by Hayward. Throws it on the boot. Strong mark down there, Jack Henry. In front of Logan McDonald. Just on James Jordan's job on Tom Stewart. He's number 2 in the comp for intercept possession, Stewart. Just the 5 today. So Jordan executing his role superbly. And there's a free kick there paid to McInerney against Myers at left half forward for Sydney.
And I get you can do a run within the midfield, which is a bit easy to do, but to stop a defender from intercepting is even harder to do as a forward.
Rennie comes inboard to Goulden. There's 65 from goal here for the Swans Dynamo. Loads up on his preferred left boot. Deep to the pack. Off hands to Koning. Papley lurking. The ball runs into the behind post. It'll be a throw-in. Inside 50 for the Swans in attack at the Randwick end of the SCG. Home side leads by 23 points. 11 gone final term this Sunday afternoon come twilight on ABC Sport.
The impressive thing with Jordan too, he's been able to get his hands on the footy and kick goals.
Here's Papley from the right forward pocket. Hamble into a dangerous spot, finds McInerney. Gives it back to Papley on the banana. Oh! Tom Papley has 3 goals. All 3 have been magical. The banana from the pocket after the 1-2 with McInerney. And the Swans now lead by 29 points. And Papley, along with the likes of Heaney and Warner and Goulden, just takes the game away from Geelong.
They're just so dynamic and explosive, the Swans. You know, whether it's the midfield with Warner or Heaney, who set it alight through that third quarter, or even the second to get him going. But then, you know, Papley up forward, it's just unbelievable the explosiveness he has to be able to create something and break away and finish the way he did. And again, once he kicked the goal, I think the GPS just blew up because he sprinted another 35 metres to get a few more high fives from his teammate.
29 points is the Swans lead. Restart back in the middle. McLean rises against blitz halves. Swans and Rowbottom busy in the middle. Kicks hurriedly. Stewart. Spot the ground by Jordan. Close. Hand pass to Clark. Kicks inside 50. Juggling grab Cameron. He marks 40 out. Slight angle right of centre, Jeremy Cameron.
He's consistently been their best player, I think, across the 4 quarters, Jeremy Cameron. Whether he's been up the ground winning the footy and using it well, or this quarter we've seen him sort of take some marks forward. Stengel was electric in the first quarter. It's certainly Jeremy Cameron across the 4 quarters.
Big Jezza on the approach from 40. Steers it home. That's his second goal. A couple of goals in this final term to keep the Cats alive. Swans at 13-91. Geelong 10-8-68. 13 gone final quarter. Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
It's probably being a little bit picky, but you're looking at the Geelong forward line when you kind of compare it to the Swans, who's, as you said, Sato, is extremely dynamic. They probably just lack one more person up there to play that kind of high half-forward role and rip back in and be a little bit more dynamic, because I don't think you want to rely too much on Jeremy Cameron, particularly at his age, have to get up the ground and relying on his work rate to get back. You are right, though. He's been absolutely superb today. He's tried very, very hard, and he's been rewarded with a couple of goals as well.
20 disposals, 2 goals in the quarter for Cameron. The lead is 23 points in favour of Sydney. Grundy having a rest, as is Goulden with 32 disposals and 12 score involvements to his name. Tanner Bruin wins it in the middle of the ground, and that's
Gary.
a strong grab by Gary Rowan.
He can kick this.
And the Cats make it 2 in a row. He chooses to look for Cameron instead. It goes over his head. It'll go out of bounds in the left forward pocket. Understandable that they are Cameron conscious considering the way he's playing, but maybe the better option was to have a shot from there.
He's one of the great set shots outside 50 go, Rowan.
Swans by 23. 14 gone, final term. ABC Sport, don't go anywhere. Bombers Blues coming up at the MCG. Stoppage inside 50. Stengel. It missed Florent. Shark by Holmes, who can straighten up and slot the finish. The Cats are by no means done with yet. They've got back-to-back goals to cut that gap back to 17 points. It's Sydney 13-91, Geelong 11-8-74, 15 played, final term on ABC Sport. Your experts are Callum Sinclair and Jason Saddington.
And they've just struggled to get enough ball in that front half, Geelong, I reckon, through this second half. But I mean, as we can see here over the last few minutes, when they do get it in that front part of the ground and get it up inside 50, they actually create an opportunity to get a shot on goal. They just haven't had that chance to work the ball through the middle of the ground and get in that front half.
Declan Byrne downstairs.
Swans have made their sub, so Braden Campbell's taken off the sub vest. Off is Nick Blakey. He did play out a fair bit of time after that knock, but he is going off to the back of the bench, and Braden Campbell into this match.
Never looked right with that leg problem, Nick Blakey. That's a concern for the Swans, who put Grundy and Goulden back into the game after conceding 2 goals in a row, and they win the clearance. McInerney to Adams, high ball to centre-half forward. Well done by Amadi to split the contest, but at ground level, gathering it is Atkins. He's well wrapped up by Hayward. Ball up, centre-half forward for Sydney. Blitzavs and McLean. Palm down nicely by Blitzav to Bowes. Kick to centre-half forward. Just evades a couple, and it's gathered by McCartan. Gives it to Melican. That's an excellent kick to find Goulden, who with 12 minutes remaining will notch up possession number 33.
Short kick to find Florent. Both those men re-signing this year for the Swans. Only a couple of weeks ago. Florent's kick to find Wicks, attacking side of the wing. Pops it inside 50. Heaney, the one-on-one. He beat Clark through the air. Plunked it clean, 45 out, slightly right of centre.
I'll tell you what, it was a great kick from Sam Wicks as well. And that's just knowing your teammates as well. Not many guys could probably hit that to Isaac, but knowing he has such terrific aerial presence, and Isaac's a guy that can really just have a one-step jump. He's got that just absolute height advantage. Real terrific kick there to advantage from Sam Wicks.
He's put an advantage of Heaney, don't you?
Yeah.
One step, up he goes.
So past the halfway mark of this final term. Every goal from here makes it very tough for the Cats. As Heaney loads up with a set shot from 50. It's right to the line, but offline for a minus score. They lead by 3 goals. It's 18 points. 13-14 plays, 11-8, 17 played. Final term, ABC Sport here at the SCG.
2 goals, 2 for Isaac to go with 24 possessions. Big game from him. Cats go down the middle, but Stanley's outmarked by Grundy. Dangerous spot to turn it over, just in front of the centre circles.
What's the last thing you want from a kick? And if you're going to go up the middle, that your ruckman just gets pushed out of the way and lets the oppo get it back in.
Grundy sends it back to the top of the square. McLean and McDonald flew for it. Bounces off some legs, and Atkins gathers. Goes out wide to Dempsey. Cats need to get moving. They're still in this game. They trail by 18 points, but time is not their friend right now. Dempsey has a bounce. Darts in front of Amadi. Kicks to half forward. Cameron's the target. Melican's right with him. They're scrapping away for it. Adams is there, as is Campbell, the sub. Gets it to Cunningham, and now the Swans can go.
Roberts with a short kick down the wing to find Jordan. He's been good today for the Swans. 18 points their lead, 18 gone final term. The former Demon flares it wide. Out there for Adams, who just slows things for a moment. From the left half forward to Goulden, but Stewart comes late to force a stoppage. Out of bounds for there's a beach ball out there for some reason. Why is there a beach ball? It's like the cricket or something. It's a very close and exciting game of footy with a stoppage at half forward for the Swans at the round weekend, who lead by 18 points.
We are in Sydney.
Yeah.
Don't worry about these Swans fans. Well and truly cotton on to what their team is producing this season, the premiership favourites, but they've got a bit more work to do here to close out on the Cats. Here's Rowan, gathers it on the wing, pokes it forward to Dempsey. He has Stengel supporting him. They go over the top and they find Hawkins. Thinks about playing on. He will into a dangerous spot. Holmes just evades him. And they've spurned the opportunity of the Cats when Hawkins could have had a set shot. Now the Swans can springboard of half-back. They've turned it over though. Guthrie to Close. Goes inboard and finds Bowes. He'll play on. just inside 50. He can kick another one for the Cats, and does. Bose has 2. The margin is back to a clean 2 goals.
Plenty of footy now.
12-8-80 Geelong. The Swans are 13-40-92. And there's just a little bit of nervousness starting to generate around the SCG after that one.
No, they're not giving up the Cats, Sato. They're probably not playing as good as the Swans, but as good teams do, Sato, they're finding a way. They're getting it inside 50. You know, the Swans aren't... they're certainly not home just yet.
No, it's looked like the last couple of plays when the Swans have actually got the ball into middle ground, they've kind of tried to slow it up a little bit, which means, you know, they've stopped taking the game on as quick, which is what they've been dangerous at. I mean, it's still pretty early, but you know, the Cats able to get the ball back. You know, like you say, I mean, they're an experienced team, they're well coached, you know, they're going to keep coming.
Last time they met was a draw at this ground last year, 54 apiece. It's been higher scoring. It's been exhilarating, absorbing from the restart. Stanley brought down by Adams, got it away into Bose, the goal kicker. They go again through Atkins, the Cats. High inside forward 50. Thumped away by Rampy. Free kick here for the Swans. Into the back of him was Blitzard to get away the free kick. So it's a 12-point ball game. We've just hit time on now. We've got plenty of post-game reaction from Declan Byrne and the winners and hopefully losers. Unless it's a draw, of course. We'll try and get a bit of both. Of course, we'll take the bit up as well as Essendon and Carlton at the MCG with Corbett Middlemass and the team there. King's Birthday Eve on ABC Sport. Way they come, the Swans. Rampy. Too deep for Grundy. At the back, Wicks just hurries it forward towards a 2-on-2. McLean follows up at ground level here. He got good separation there on his opponent. Goes in board to find Rowbottom. He holds, he dummied the kick. Thought he was off. Umpire said, "Nup, go back and take your kick." And now James Rowbottom for the Swans will be 40 out directly in front.
Tanner Bruin did well on the mark not to step off, thinking Rowbottom had played on there.
Taking his full 30. Very smart.
It's about 8 minutes of game time left.
It's plenty.
James Rowbottom, a recent 100-gamer. Renowned for his tackling, not so his goal kicking. He's missed to the right-hand side. And the Swans, if nothing else, do extend their lead to a 3-goal break. It's 13 points, their lead. 13-15 plays 12-8 on ABC Sport.
The 3 kicks, but plenty of time for the Cats. Duncan has it in the back pocket. What can they do here? It's through the hands of Bruin. That's not the place to turn it over. Gathered by McDonald. Sends it long, back inside 50. Kolodjasny underneath it. Excellent grab. Strong defensive work. Jake Kolodjasny. Opposed to McLean.
Chad Warner very unhappy there. He was absolutely on his own. Just had to lower his eyes.
McDonald blazed away instead. Atkins gets it back from Jack Henry. Now pops it over the top to Myers. Can they make the most of that Kolodjasny defensive effort? He goes up the wing to Dempsey. He'll want to play on. Darts inside on McInerney. Kicks inside 50. Brad close with the grab. Overhead. Now the distance might just test him, so he plays on instead. It's a long kick from Duncan, and it's through for a behind as a result. Understandable that he played on close. The distance would have tested him. The margin is back to 12 points, though, after the Duncan behind. 93 plays 81 in favour of Sydney.
Sellout crowd here, by the way, 44,714, which puts it up among the highest crowds ever for the Sydney Swans, and a season average of almost 40,000. With the corridor, they got Campbell to scub into the action for Nick Blakey. Subbed out a short time ago. Wide to McInerney on the wing. Goes towards 50 to find Marty. He's 55 out. All by himself. McDonald in the pocket. Leads up and takes it on the chest. Lloyd McDonald for the Sydney Swans. 30 out. Deep at left, full forward to potentially ice the game here.
You'd be so disappointed if you were Geelong's defensive coach then. They were pinned by Jake Lloyd and just found a 40-metre kick into the corridor, arguably the most dangerous kick coming outside defensive 50. But to find that, that's something that's coming up on the Monday to review Sato.
Not quite sure.
McDonald's been goalless in just one game this year. He's also goalless so far tonight. This is a very important kick here from the pocket. On its way, misses.
Not quite sure, Cal, whether they had a defender come off the ground, so they got caught out with an interchange out of position.
Swans by 13, 24 gone, final term, ABC Sport.
Cats send it out wide. Big leap by Dempsey. He's got a leap in him. Good mark as well. Wants to play on quickly. Why wouldn't you? Goes to Cameron. Handball over the top to Duncan. Cats would love one now. Wouldn't that make things interesting? To half forward he goes. Close marks. Plays on, though, from over the boundary line.
Stupid.
A lapse in concentration from Brad Close. Took the mark and then played on from outside the boundary line, and that's a boundary throw-in. Left half forward for Geelong, though, who are 12-9-81, trailing the Swans 13-16-94.
Oh, they've been very eager to try and get the ball moving quickly again, but probably not the right time just there.
Here it comes. Dempsey missed it. McInerney is taken high by Dempsey on the follow-up. So a free kick for the Swans at left half back. 13 points their lead. Geelong needs 3 goals. Led at one stage by 35 points midway through that second term. And the Swans had the better of things since then. Chip it across defensive goal here, Sydney. It's with Melican in the right back pocket. Did see there was some mention of his likeness to Carlos Alcaraz, who contests the French Open final tonight against Alex Zverev. His kick's a turnover. It's marked by Kolodjasny.
Got to get it in. Got to get it in.
Attacking side of the wing here for the Cats, who trail by 13.
Igor Swiatek with a 4th French Open title overnight, 3 in a row. As Kolodjasny goes inside 50. Good tackle on Campbell by Close. Ball up in attack for Geelong. Trail by 13 points. Still enough time, though, for them to win this game. They need a quick one, though. Hawkins palms it down to the advantage of Myers. Campbell's with him. Campbell on as the sub, falls on the football. Ball up. The only concern for Sydney, if they do win this game, is the injury to Nick Blakey that has led to Campbell coming on as a sub. Seemed to lock for an All-Australian half-back spot. Hopefully it's nothing serious.
It's significant. It's a win no better. Atkins, handball chopped off there by McInerney. It's over for a throw-in. Declan Byrne on the boundary.
Yeah, just confirming that crowd, 44,714. Second highest home and away crowd ever. 4th highest, full stop. And just on Nick Blakey, no ice on it. So hopefully good signs.
And that was hammy, Declan?
Yeah, well, it was hammy or a knock to the sort of glute area.
Okay, thank you. Back in it comes. Grundy out to Bowes. Everton pins one arm, brings him to ground. Umpire says let's ball it up. Just on Braden Campbell, of course, you mentioned as the sub. He was also the sub in that grand final 2 years ago, which they were heavily beaten by the Cats. He's out there in the action this final term. From the stoppage, Close missing it. Campbell does mop up there. He's forced over for a throw-in. Swans by 13 points here. 94 plays 81. 26 and a half played. Final term, ABC Sport. Great to have your company across ABC Radio, News Radio and the world-famous Listen app.
Swans doing well to just lock this inside their own defensive 50, but there are so many dangerous threats for the Cats. Swans win it though. The source. Gordon throws it on the boot. Kolodjasny there, couldn't mark it. Picked up by Hayward. Here they go, Sydney. Handball over the top to McDonald. They have plenty of space. He'll pop it over the top. Chasing towards it is Warner. It sits up for him. Put the game to bed, Chad. Yes, he does. Two goals for Warner. The margin is 19 points. And this SCG crowd is just treated week after week after week by this exhilarating Sydney Swans side, who were epic on the break there.
When it comes to Chad Warner, Sano, I know 2 words. Cha-ching. That contract is going to be massive. Swans, I don't know what you're going to do, but you're going to have to just find something.
He's what we call a pre-agent, right?
Correct.
He's got one more year,
Yeah,
so he's got that extra. Oh, yeah.
I know you want to start a conversation later too about him and Chris Judd, don't you?
We will,
that right, Cal?
We will be having a discussion. Springer rolled his eyes at me at half time.
Hang on. That's because of my love for Chris Judd, not for my disdain towards Chad Warner, who's a very worthy player in that conversation. 19 points, the Swans lead here, late proceedings. The Cats lead to clearance here. They get it through Bowes. Hand pass to Holmes. Fires it back here. Bruin. It was intercepted by Florent. The Swans get it back. Only momentarily, though, as it's back to Holmes. Grundy slides in as well as Rowbottom. Gathered by Stanley here for the Cats. Tumbles it towards half forward. Bounced off the chest of Stengel. And now Myers pops it inside 50, where it is marked by Bowes. He kept running and he marks 40 out. Slight angle to the left. They've still got...
Yep, that's enough if you can kick it.
19 points, and there's about 3 minutes left of actual game time. So the Lee Matthews principle says here, if they get this, There's still a sniff. Bowes, let's go from 52, misses to the left-hand side. It's 18 points or a clean 3 goals the margin. 29 minutes having elapsed in this final term at the SCG on ABC Sport.
Chad Warner has now kicked 9 goals in his last 3 weeks, averaging 3 a game as a midfielder. Just incredible. 21 for the season.
And the recruiter said he wasn't explosive.
Boundary throw in here, just in front of the wing for Geelong.
He worked for you, Sato?
I don't know who we're talking about.
18 points the lead for Sydney. They will be 2.5 games clear at the top of the ladder. This win is clinched, but other games still to come. Cunningham just works it out wide to Goulden. Possession number 36 coming up for him. Back to Heaney. The Maestros combining. Up to half forward. Amadi's there. It'll sit up nicely for him to tap it forward, which he does, but then it bounces the wrong way for Papley. He was 3 goals himself. Boundary throw it inside 50 for the Swans, who were 14-16-100. Geelong 12-10-82. The Swans on their way to 8 straight wins.
And unfortunately, expect probably a Dow or 2 minutes here to finish the game from the Swans. They'll just want to lock this up, slow it down.
Back in it comes. Grundy down to Goulden. Let's fire from 50. Oh, the burst. What about this to ice the cake? Errol Goulden joins the goal kickers list and extends the Swans lead to 24 as we approach full time. It'll be 8 straight wins, and these runaway flag favourites just keep getting the job done.
That's an incredible finish. 2-step kick from outside 50 for Goulden, just launched it straight through the middle. Under pressure too, players coming at him. I mean, that's Errol Goulden in a nutshell though, isn't it? It's just skillful, classy, knows where the goals are.
But what's Holmes doing, his opponent? Like, should be goal side, should be on his left foot. There's been a handful of goals from stoppage that Geelong I think we would be reviewing on Monday. And the names Goulden, Warner, Heaney.
It feels like you're watching Cousins, Judd and Kerr again when you watch Goulden, Heaney and Warner as the Cats go inside 50. Time is against them though. Swansea by 24 points. Duncan has marked it just inside 50. They're just doing things that take your breath away. All of them in big moments in football games. Goulden 37 possessions and a goal. Warner 26 and 2 goals. Heaney 26 and 2 goals. Here's Duncan. Kick slices off the side of the boot. Big leap by Grundy. Well, he's the Dean Cox of the group.
He's had a great game.
Big mark inside defensive 50.
Did see Big Cox see the lift on the way up as well. He'd be good to ask about Chad Warner and his comparisons to certain premiership stars of the West Coast. As Grundy goes beyond defensive 50. Jordan. The contest with Duncan. It's a hand pass away. Some burst here for McInerney. Rowbottom gets it back to the wingman here, McInerney. He evades the in-vain chase of Kolajasny. Kicks inside forward 50. Playing deep forward. Papley, second bite, pulls in the grab. And he'll straighten up and kick you with a set shot from 30 out, slightly wide of centre.
That Phil Matera or... I got the wrong generation now.
Yeah. I don't think Phil didn't play in the... he was a good before.
He's a bit before. Show my age.
Tell you what I did. I did watch some Tony Modra highlights the other day. And he was a star.
Insane.
Oh. Papley lining up for his 4th. All in the second half of this game when it was on the line.
Love it.
Puts it through. Papley with 4 to extend that margin out to 30 points. As we approach the full-time siren just seconds away, the Swans are 16-16, 112. Geelong 12-10, 82. Your experts are Callum Sinclair and Jason Saddington.
And Papley's just been able to cash in this second half off some of the ball movement from the Swans through the middle of the ground from the players that we've been talking about, Warner, Heaney, Goulden. You know, when the ball's coming through the way it has, you know, explosive movement, break from stoppage, getting in the front half, and Papley's just put himself in the right spots to either come at the footy and mark it and really cashed in through this second half like you want out of your explosive small forward.
Swans lead by 30 points after trailing by 35 points in the second term. 112 plays 82. Grundy palms it down. They were smashed by the Cats in the 2022 Grand Final. There's a long way to go, but maybe, just maybe, these ladder-leading Swans will get their chance at redemption in 2024. Winners by 30 points over Geelong at the SCG. They were at their scintillating best.
Cheer, cheer the red and the white. Honour the name by day and by night. Lift that noble banner high. Shake down the thunder from the sky. Whether the odds be great or small, Swans will go in and win overall. While our loyal Swans are marching onwards to victory.
A 65-point turnaround for their 11th win of the year. Their 8th in a row. The Sydney Swans just roll on now, 2.5 games clear on top of the AFL ladder. 30-point winners here, thanks to 4 goals from Tom Papley, 3 for Amati, 2 for Heaney and Warner, singles for Jordan, Goulden, McInerney, Haywood and Jake Lloyd. The Swans by 30 points at the full-time siren.
Cheer, cheer the red and the white. Honour the name by day and by night. Lift that noble banner high. Shake down the thunder from the sky. Whether the odds be great or small, Swans will go in and win overall. While our loyal Swans are marching onwards to victory.
Meanwhile, for Geelong, Tyson Stengel was among their best. He kicked 3. 2 goals for Jack Bowes and Jeremy Cameron, a couple of late ones as well. Singles to Hawkins, Holmes, Myers, Close and Shannon Neal, who was subbed out. And that brought Gary Rowan into the game. We also saw the Swans make their sub Nick Blakey with a hamstring or glute concern, which saw Braden Campbell activated in the final quarter as well. In the end, Geelong led by 29 points at quarter time, by 5 points at the major break. It was the Swans by 11 points at the final change. In the end, saluting for a 30-point win. Now 11-1 on the year. The Cats miss an opportunity to go to second. Of course, Essendon plays Carlton coming up tonight in about half an hour's time. We can take the put up of that game. Of course, that's still over an hour away. But that means, of course, Carlton also playing off for a shot at second, depending on percentage. But that game's still to come, Essendon, Carlton. But it's all about the Swans here, who just roll on for 11 wins on the year so far. Your experts are former Eagle and Swan Callum Sinclair, former Swan and Blue Jason Saddington.
Well, we saw the first quarter, it was the Cats that jumped out of the blocks. You know, they were fantastic defensively. They put the pressure on the Swans. They stifled the Swans' ball movement, which didn't exist. The Swans were sluggish with their ball movement through that first quarter. They couldn't get it through. Was that coming off the bye? Who knows? You know, Stengel and Cameron and Myers were dominant through that first quarter for Geelong. But after quarter time, the Swans midfielders started to get into action, didn't they? We saw Warner start to break free, Heaney start to break free, Goulden get a bit more footy. And once they got going, the Swans, Geelong didn't have any answers. They couldn't stop them. They couldn't get the ball past halfway or struggled to get any efficient ball movement and get it inside 50. And the Swans just continued to open up the game more and more as it went and really were totally dominant, I think, certainly through that second half and more as the game got going. And, it was that midfield that really started to set them alight and it helped their forwards like Papley, really start to cash in. Even Amati as a marking forward, his aerial presence was fantastic. Grundy helped through that midfield. He was huge as well. But after quarter time, the Swans were dominant.
They were absolutely outstanding after quarter time. And just, I've said it every time that we've played that we've watched the Swans play, is just their spread of goal kickers. And you can't really tag any of them because if you go after Warner, well, good luck. You've got Rowbottom, Goulden, Heaney. Who knows what's going to happen with Callum Mills and Luke Parker. That might be an interesting discussion to have, post the song. And look, I thought Geelong were actually, they're much improved, probably where they have been probably the last 5 or 6 weeks. I did notice after the game, actually, Chris Scott goes straight to the leadership group out there and said, get off the field. So I don't think he was actually too happy with what was going on, and seeing the Geelong boys having a few handshakes and smiles after the game, he was not too happy and told him to get straight off. But probably a question for the group, that maybe I might start with you, Sato, is with Geelong. They're not that far off, probably where the Swans are. What some areas of their game, or maybe some positional things that, you know, maybe some personnel, what do they need to kind of be back there competing with the Swans?
They need some midfield help.
So Dangerfield and Guthrie are not far away.
Yep, absolutely. Who it was, Henry that went out of the team as well. I think he's
Ollie Henry. Yep,
he can add something to that team out there. I think that's where they need the help, certainly around the footy. Tanner Brunn's still a young player, trying to, play high midfield minutes and compete with the likes of the Swans midfield that's out there. That makes it difficult. Holmes has been terrific, but and Atkins has been okay, but I think they need that midfield help.
Some pace with it as well.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Tom Hawkins, you don't expect him to be the same player each year. He's still is a damaging player, but of course, he's not going to be the player that's going to step up week in, week out, especially when you're struggling. If the team's flying, it makes it a bit easier for him as an older player. He needs them up and going for him to have a bit more impact in the game as well.
Yeah, and I actually thought Hawk was actually pretty good in the first half.
Yeah.
In the first half, he competed really, really well, brought the ball to ground. But you are right. I just think he does need a bit more class in that midfield to kind of give the ball to him with really strong connection.
So they lost 5 of their last 6 now, Geelong, after an excellent start. I mean, they were up against the best team in the comp at the moment today, but that question mark that we had on them pre-game, that was so well structured for a half. And then their Achilles heel, the midfield, it gets tested by the best brigade in the comp, and it just gets obliterated after half-time, doesn't it?
And I don't think, Swans definitely got on top around the stoppage, but I think it was more the gut run off the ball. When the Swans got the ball moving forward, their midfielders got in their bike, and the Cats midfielders couldn't go with them. The Swans mids were able to get ahead of the ball. They're able to get those forward handballs, and they'll be able to link in. And we saw Warner and Heaney break the paint and get shots on goal. That's where the Geelong midfielders really struggled, was to go defensively with the Swans midfield.
Exactly. I don't think they were actually necessarily beaten right at the first kind of contest of possession. It's what happens when the ball leaves.
Yep.
And guys like Gordon and Spriggy, you made the point all day, Gordon just does not stop running. His GPS numbers would just be through the roof, and I don't think there'd be many taggers in the competition at the moment that could actually keep up with him. And he plays a very, very important role. He gets very, very deep forward and gets dangerous. But how many times did we see Gordon work defensively and actually get down there to go help his back six? I think if you're a young wingman or a young midfielder out there, if you want to watch someone how they go about their work rate, go and watch Errol Gordon for a few weeks, because he sets the standard for actual work rate, pace, and his skills speak for themselves. He's absolutely outstanding.
37 disposals, 15 score involvements, 7 inside 50s and a goal for Errol.
5 tackles, serviceable.
We'll get the votes later, probably from Sato's first game back. We'll give him the options. He can,
You've never given me the
give it to Cal. Cal wants
never
it.
ever given me the votes
Give it to
once. No, Sato. I'm happy to sit here, mate, and support you in this role.
You've got a few more games. We'll make sure we get you a 3-2-1 at some stage, Callum.
Thanks,
there as they make their way down the Paul Kelly race. There's embraces going on there. John Longmire with his players, Andrew Pridham as well. It's great to see. From a Swans perspective, they just roll on with 11 wins on the year. They're 2.5 games clear for now, of course. Essendon plays Carlton tonight. That's their nearest neighbour on the AFL ladder, currently sitting in second. They make their way down towards you in the rooms, Declan Byrne.
Yeah, and unsurprisingly, ladder leaders draw a big crowd. The room here is full. And as the boys make their way in, massive round of applause. Lots of family, lots of friends. Also, Maitland Saints Junior Footy Club, who had a really rough week. One of those kids was the junior mascot today. They're all down here. They're getting a little treatment before the song, actually. Every Swans player making their way over to the Maitland Saints boys. And you might have seen one of the kids got to run out with them. I think they might get involved in the circle as well. But, yeah, there's family and friends everywhere as they start the song.
Pretty straightforward this week, Declan. No Alex Volkanovski or Sydney Sweeney or anything like that in the Swans rooms.
No Hollywood stars so far. I'll keep a look out. I'll get back to you. We should get someone in a moment.
We'll head back there for our interview very, very shortly from the Swans rooms. Winners here by 30 points. And by the way, that crowd again, 44,714 makes it their second biggest home and away crowd ever. So the town feels it, what the Swans are building right now as they sit pretty atop the AFL ladder. The Cats have the bye next week, so you mentioned sort of what's next for them. They've got the bye anyway, and they play the following Friday night in round 15 against Carlton at the MCG. So the week off might do them the world of good off the back of, as Garby said, 5 losses in 6 weeks, the Cats. Earlier, Geelong won the VFL by 9 points for what it's worth. We'll take you to Essendon Carlton pre-game in about 20 minutes' time and bring you the team news when it comes to hand very shortly. Of course, it all builds towards the final game of round 13, the King's birthday game at the MCG, Collingwood versus Melbourne, Big Freeze 10, which you'll hear, of course, in all the usual places, including, but not limited to, the ABC Listen app. Just look for the AFL button. Sydney by 30 points here. A few more numbers, Garby. Just you were talking about Errol Gould and what he finished with. So Chad Warner,
26 disposals, 9 score involvements, a couple of goals, and the 8 inside 50s. Isaac Heaney, 26 disposals, 10 score involvements, a couple of goals for him. It's mesmerising. Brodie Grundy, so 25 touches, 13 hit-outs to advantage. McInerney at 24. Adams was good all game with 23. Lloyd, 21. For the Cats, Holmes had 23. Jeremy Cameron was excellent all game with 21. Tom Stewart had 20, but we spoke about the job that James Jordan did on him. He struggled to get his intercept game going, Tom Stewart. Jordan with the 15 disposals in a tagging role and then the goal late. Tom Papley with 4 goals and 8 score involvements. When the game was still in the balance in the third term, took it away from Geelong.
Okay, let's head into the Swans rooms. Declan Byrne.
We've got Errol Goulden down here, fresh off a huge game, but a huge comeback. What did that game mean, considering that first quarter not much looked like it went your way?
Yeah, we were a little bit slow to get going, and credit to Geelong, they were really good. Most of the game really solid in the contest, but we probably shot ourselves in the foot going forward and didn't get the ball to ground and kicked it to their defenders a fair bit, but we sort of rectified that and started bringing a few contests forward to the ball, and really good win in the end.
Kind of happened against Carlton as well, where you had a slower start. Do you have confidence that you can flick that switch? You seem to be able to kick goals in a rush.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, ideally we wouldn't want to give teams a 6-goal head start. That's probably something we need to work on. But, the ability of the team to fight back and kind of back against the wall. And, they were on a roll, particularly the start of that second quarter, and to turn it around and have a really good win in the end. I think we're growing as a side, and it's really pleasing.
Pretend you're a spectator. What was your favourite goal, Swans goal tonight? There were some rippers that got the crowd going. Papley, Warner, yourself, Heaney. Which was your favourite watching on?
I think the chatties at the end to seal the game, running into the open goal. I almost dropped to my knees in the middle of the ground celebrating, looking up to the heavens. But, I think it's just such a good, even spread. And, perhaps his back-to-back setties in the third quarter, I think it was, pretty special too. So it's a good win.
All right, we'll head upstairs for a few more questions from the team.
Errol, Cal Sinclair here, mate. Congratulations.
Chieftain, how are you, brother?
Good, mate. Mate, I was a little bit worried about you blokes in the first quarter. I thought all your headspaces were still on your golf trip in Queenstown during the bye week. But I guess the question is, what was the message at quarter time? Because I think it was fair to say you guys were jumped early in that game.
Yeah, it's a fair assessment. I think we just didn't win enough contests forward of the ball, and we weren't really doing the basics. Myself included, trying to buy it off kicks that probably weren't there, and trying to make things happen. And as you know, Chief, from your time here, I think when we get the basics right and we surge the footy forward and win contests, we start getting our game going from there. So we just kind of turn that around and surge the ball forward. I
think we've made the comment in the last few weeks, probably just the health and the depth of the list at the moment. I guess probably an elephant in the room is maybe Callum Mills, Luke Parker. Where do you see these guys hopefully eventually coming back into the side?
Yeah, definitely. I think at some point they'll be back. Not too sure how far away Mills is, and obviously Parks is suspended, but I think it's a good problem to have. And I'm pretty glad that I'm not in there in match committee trying to pick a team, because I think at the moment they're a pretty difficult task.
Errol, Jason Saddington, it's good to speak to you, mate. Congratulations on the win as well. Mate, being in the midfield, having Brodie Grundy come into the squad this year, you must be enjoying working off him and the work that he's doing as a ruckman in the midfield with you guys?
Yeah, definitely. You know, his follow-up contest is just as good as his tap work, and you know, he's kind of a different cat, Broads, and it's pretty refreshing kind of when you're down by 5 or 6 goals, and you wouldn't be able to tell with him. He just keeps the boys level-headed and back to zero, and you know, he's pretty inspirational. His follow-up and his tackle work, it's amazing, and you know, he's slotted in seamlessly to the side, and he's a big reason why we're playing the footy we are.
Errol, Dan Garb here. I think the midfield's going to be discussed a lot in the coming weeks because what you guys are producing at the moment is just a pleasure to watch. We've spoken about Brodie, but yourself, Chad Warner and Isaac Heaney, along with James Rowbottom, the synergy that you've got, the chemistry on the field, can you give us some insight into what that is like at the moment?
Yeah, I think it comes off the back of playing a fair bit of footy together now. I think, you know, Chaddy and I have pretty much played all of our footy together. From, you know, he was obviously drafted a year before me, but we've played, you know, upwards of 70 games together, and the same with Haynes. And I think it's only a natural progression that, you know, once you start playing a lot of footy with blokes, you understand their mannerisms and, you know, the way they go about it. And yeah, I think it's pretty fun to ride the wave at the moment. We just got to keep making sure that we keep our head down, working hard, and not getting too ahead of ourselves.
And not just the growth together, Errol, but individually. Go back to 2022. This was your grand final opponent, the Cats. It was a day to forget for you guys. But what changes for you from that was your second year of footy to now? You're obviously a well-established player in this team and in the competition. The growth you have as a player in that sort of only year and a half.
Sorry, man, I'm just getting bumped left, right. So can you repeat that question?
So 2022, the grand final, of course, this opponent Geelong, and the way you were touched up that day to now, and the growth you have individually as a player, and the way you establish yourself in this team and in the competition.
Yeah, I think, it's, as I just said before, it's probably, you know, getting another 60, 70 games under my belt and just kind of understanding what the game demands and, you know, the mindset that you have to be in to play well and show up in the big games. And, you know, I think it comes off the back of a body of work as well. But I think it's also just a natural progression. The more footy you play, the more comfortable you become with your surroundings, the more sure of yourself you are. And I think you're seeing that with a lot of boys across our team at the moment.
Take us back to quarter time. What did John Longmire say to you?
It wasn't too bad. I think, what I just said, we just need to win more contests and just do the basics and you know, get the ball going forward and probably get rid of one handball or the little drill kick and get it forward, win the contest, go from there and repeat stoppages and stuff like that and just get back to our DNA of pressuring them and not making it an easy game for them.
Couple of quick ones. People talk about the buys, and of course the advent of opening round means you've had a couple of buys, and clubs will speak about the disadvantage they've had with that sort of not being their situation. Do you feel fresher at this point of the year compared to, say, the midway point of previous years because of those two buys? How do you feel it internally at a club point of view?
I don't feel too fresh right now. I'm pretty cooked, to be honest. But yeah, look, you know, people can say what they want. I think the other thing people don't understand is we've got to travel every second week as well. So I think, you know, down in Melbourne, people can have their views. But, you know, you talk to a lot of blokes who have played footy for the clubs down there and they're not used to the flying all the time. And it is a bit of I think a thing of contention at the moment. So all we can do is focus on ourselves and play the games and the fixtures we've been given. And you know, if people want to talk about it, they can do that.
And just lastly, Errol, you're a Sydney lad, grew up here. I assume you're a Swans fan, but I mean, seeing the 44,000 people, 45,000 people coming week in, week out. You've always been a powerhouse club, but building something special. Can you feel that around you in this place, which is not a traditional football heartland, but it's all you know growing up in Sydney? How do you sort of put that into words?
Yeah, definitely. I think if you could see what the room's down here at the moment, you actually can barely breathe. It's that packed. So it's awesome to see that, you know, seeing the SCG sell out, you know, week in, week out now. It's good. And, you know, we've just got to do our job and play well and, you know, take care of the job on the field and hope to see as many fans as we can come to support us. It certainly helps when we're winning, and I think it's just good for the game of footy in New South Wales in general. I think there's a big untapped market here, and you know, the more people in the footy world that can get around growing footy in Sydney, Queensland and these non-traditional football states, it's only going to be better for the game in the long term. So it's awesome to see, and yeah, very, very, very proud of this club.
Errol, appreciate your time. Well played tonight.
Thanks, guys. Cheers. See you, Chief.
Errol Goulden, and he is always among their very, very best for the Swans. 37 disposals tonight. Winners by 30 points here, the Swans over Geelong on this Sunday afternoon.
Fans allowed on the SCG, so it reminds us a little bit of Buddies 1000s at the moment, just fans of swarming the place.
I would notice one thing, though. The scoreboard has like a countdown clock, so it's only a 10-minute window. You have to do a kick, and it's like, get out of there.
Just on Errol, I think he was a Carlton fan growing up.
Okay.
Massive Blues fan, but obviously...
Oh, okay.
I
assume he grew up here.
I don't think it matters too much. He was in the academy, so he was into the Swans from a pretty young age. I want to ask you, Jay Saddington and Cal Sinclair, about his fitness, because along with his incredible skill and his toughness, that's what took me aback this afternoon. you know, people spoke about Ben Cousins and Shane Crawford, the gut running, the ability to just go and go and go. He never looks tired.
No.
How difficult is it to get to that level of fitness that Errol Goulden seems to be at right now?
It's inbuilt as well. It's intent and the will to actually want to run hard. I mean, funny that I've been watching Errol Goulden play since 13 years old. You know, in the academy space against the Giants Academy, he was doing the same things then, so he was always a nightmare. But he's knowing Errol off field as well. Like, he does everything he possibly can to be the best athlete he possibly can. You know, he'll research best sleep patterns. He'll look at all the new science things that can help you breathe better. All those things. So Errol, he's 1,000% professional, and he wants to get the most out of his body. So that characteristic to then put in place to be as fit as he possibly can, and then to have that will to run as hard as you can. You know, whilst you can be fit and push yourself, I think it's an inbuilt drive to be an absolute maniac in terms of the way you run, and he's got that.
Yeah, and a couple of stories when I was there. I remember he got very, very frustrated in his first couple of years because his GPS numbers were completely through the roof, both at training and on game day, and he never misses training. And it got to a point where he started getting, you know, bone and shin stress due to his incredible work rate. He had to stop training. Which is very rare for a first and second year player. These GPS numbers were so strong that the sports scientists and doctors thought he had probably a little bit of a problem in regards to significant kind of bone stress put on him. Another thing is, and I'll put Chad Warner in this conversation as well with Errol Goulden. I only really got them at the first kind of couple of years of their careers, but I've never met two kids with such strong self-belief, which is a very, very hard thing to teach, I think, with people. And it's definitely, you know, my career will nowhere near be the level of what Errol's and Chad's is going to be. But a lot of players, it's very, very hard to coach and teach that. It's not arrogance. I'll never forget when Chad kind of came into the football club. He just had this aura about him where he actually believed that he was the best player in the squad. He might not have been at the time. Errol's the same. They've both got this, it might even be an incredible level of competitiveness, but their belief in themselves to compete at the highest level, genuinely be the best player. You saw Chad Warner in the first centre clearance of the game. He literally had like three guys in front of him, and he's just like, nah, I'm taking all three if you want. And he actually looks at the opponent when he's like running away. But self-belief's a hard thing to teach, and those guys have got it in spades.
It's always been the case, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Across history, I mean, you go back, look at Wayne Carey and those, they always had self-belief. You know, Ben Cousins, you see Harley Reid come into the competition. He's got self-belief.
Nice. Yeah.
And that's what allows you to be the best player.
We'll leave space for a quick chat in the Cats rooms if they allow it. So who's doing the votes in the ABC Player of the Year? Where did we get to with that?
Good luck. Well, no, let's back Sado. Sado. I think you're just a fantastic expert.
You want next,
mate? And I just think anyway.
I'll get the criticism from Cal.
Yeah. I'll critique
back
you.
Go on. All right. One vote, and there are definitely unluckies here from the Swans. They're all Swans players, by the way, and I don't think we'd expect anything less. No. One vote. The midfielder that probably helped set him alight, Isaac Heaney. Mm-hmm. Won plenty of the footy, kicked a couple of goals. He was great overhead. He had a terrific impact on the game, and certainly is one player that got him going. 2 votes, Brodie Grundy. His impact as the ruckman, not just in terms of his ruck work and what he was able to set up for his mids, but his ability to win the footy around the ground as well. Yeah. He got forward. He got a couple of shots on goal. He was super. And 3 votes was the guy that we just spoke to. I think the longer the game went, the more influence he had. That's Errol Goulden. To win the amount of footy he has, to have the score involvements he has, to hit the scoreboard, Errol Goulden 3 votes.
3 Goulden, 2 Grundy, 1 Heaney, as awarded by Jason Saddington in the ABC Football of the Year. Your rebuttal, Callum Sinclair?
No, I just wanted Brodie Grundy in there. I thought Chad Warner maybe could have. I think it's between Chad and Brodie Grundy, but I just thought Brodie was the barometer for that midfield.
Bob Papley stiff.
Well, yeah.
It sums up the Swans at the moment.
Well, he's quiet in the first half, though. He's very quiet in the first half.
The other player as well that did a fantastic job for them was Jordan.
Yeah.
His ability to take the game away from Stewart and then also have some impact himself. I thought he was terrific also.
Get you the team news from Essendon and Carlton, which we'll take you to the lead up of very shortly at the MCG with called Middlemass and the team. Your texts remain welcome throughout the evening. 0437 774 774. Marcus in Ballarat, go to Swanee. He's not the best start, but awesome finish. The boys work together. Papley, you gun. Come grab a pint with a handle, Sato. You know where to go. Getting all these random invites to Sato to go and have a refreshment somewhere.
What does it say about me?
No, it just says that. Did the beach ball have Plugger written on it? Plugger has a ripped and tanned beach body these days, says Rule Line Adelaide. He's slimmed down. I don't know if he's ripped and tanned. Well, he's tanned. But anyway, he's not. He's about half his playing weight, I think, these days, Plugger Lockett. Sydney, the most dominant in-season team we've seen since the year 2000. Bombers. That's from Mick Simon and Beck having their little time there by the fire in Jamieson River. Well, look, that was a great team. What I will say is this. The Swans now have 11 wins. That's the earliest possible point you can say they're pretty well going. They're going there anyway to the finals. But 11, 12 wins is your entry point to the finals. So they'll be there and have that wrapped up in the next few weeks. So they get to, they won 20 in a row, was it, the Bombers that year?
Yeah. I think there's been a few other teams that have been very, very outstanding with the Bombers.
We're a long way from that.
Brisbane, Geelong.
Adam from Albury says, dare I say it, Tom Papley with his best Nick Davis come to save us impersonation this second half. He certainly did that, didn't he, Tom Papley, finishing with 4 goals. He was also stiff to miss out on the votes. Yep. Adam from Albury, who also said he was a big Jason Saddington fan back in the day. So he had an earlier text where he said were you number 20?
22.
22. There we go. Got that. Nick Blakey these days. Yeah. Jason Saddington. A few of these. A ton of them came through about the quarter of the length of games, and we're talking about it at half time. Andy Fpadonga, thank you for your texts. Hey boys, you're allowed to pick the player who has the kick from out on the full now. Funny, let the ball drop out when you get tackled. It's time the A/VFL went back to 3 umpires as 4 is too many. Says Braden Dongra in WA.
Good place.
Yes, that's who's from there? I want to say Jager O'Meara. From Dongra?
Not sure. Family went camping there once, many years ago. Good fun.
Beautiful. Awesome. Up in the Midwest there?
Yeah.
What else? We had Paul from Mount Dunedin as well. Thanks. Michael says, your discussion, read more games or shorter games. Once again, people don't consider the travel effect. We need less games. That should be fewer. Not shorter games. 20 rounds would be much better, especially for the Perth-based players. AFLPA needs to look after its WA members a lot more. Thanks, Michael.
Yeah, you won't get it with the media, will you? Media coverage, it's where the money is.
Brendan from Hobart says, with Tassie coming in, play every side once, 18 rounds plus finals. Again, you cutting back your games is not going to get anyone anywhere. The money in the game comes from more footy, not less. So I appreciate your correspondence, though. Brendan, 0437 774 774. Kevin says the official AFL time for each quarter is 18 minutes plus time on. No, it's not. It's definitely 20. And the quarters go about half an hour, which our man Scott from Penrith was curious about earlier.
Are friends in New York still awake, or they...
No, it was
I reckon that's my best mate.
It was 20.
Actually, I think my best mate.
It was 20 past 1 at the start of the game 3 hours ago. So they didn't have a sleep. So they might be awake.
He's a Swans nuffy setter.
Okay. Yeah. Where was that? Stephen says, I've only got one tip right. I assume this was before this game happened because you would have tipped the Swans, I think. I need the Swans to win. There we go. So my tips aren't further stuffed up. Enjoying your coverage. Yeah, I think this weekend
I understand that.
Like
I have the
that.
same pains.
Chris and St Ives also on the bigger picture stuff. Why is it 4 points for a win, 2 for a draw, when 2 and 1 would give the same result? I don't know.
That's the way it is.
Yeah. COVID quarters plus 2. What was COVID? Well, it was 16 plus
16.
Time on. So you're saying 18 plus time on could be the ideal length. Hi, Garvey. I couldn't agree more that it would be better to not know about the non-free kick from yesterday. Much worse, I think, and Sandringham, Victoria. Yes, as far as that news coming through the AFL earlier, talking about the free kick against Mac Andrew on Max King. Shouldn't have been paid. That was news first to hand from our man Mitch Cleary of 7 News. The AFL admit the mistake, but they did tick off on the Sicily and Yo.
Good text coming through, Spriggy.
Well, we get a lot of them through the game, but it's hard to sort of make time while the game's going on. So I appreciate that. And the boys at the MCG we'll be keen to get yours as well. 0437 774 774. The Swans are away to the Crows at the level next week. That's Saturday night. As I mentioned, Geelong have the bye. Then they play the following Friday in round 15 against Carlton at the MCG.
There's a lot of hyperbole in football, but when we talk about the great midfields of all time, there was Brisbane and then West Coast. There are others that have been mentioned over the journey. This, to me, the Swans midfield is the closest we've got to a group you could actually stack up against the best of all time, potentially. They've got to win a premiership, of course. But you think Heaney, Goulden, Warner, Rowbottom, Grundy, and then you've got the likes of Parker, Mills to come back with Adams, McInerney. It's potentially as deep as that Eagles midfield and that Brisbane midfield. It has the potential to be one of the all-time greats. That is going to be, I think, a big discussion in the game over the course of the season.
I think a couple of them, they're still young, a few of them.
Under 23.
Like
Rowbottom,
Goulden
they're under
Warner,
23.
That's the exciting part for the Swans. It's the scary part for everyone else. They're probably only going to get better.
Yeah, and I think we've made jokes about it, but Chad Warner, it is going to be an interesting conversation with the footy club about how they kind of keep him around. West Australian clubs, you even picture him and Harley Reid in a midfield at West.
Oh, stop it!
Harley Reid.
Gee whiz.
Well,
he just melted in
this
his
is
feet.
real. This is real, and we can all laugh about it, but we can make jokes. But the reality is, both those clubs are going to come at him like you wouldn't believe. Like Logan McDonald, okay, he might get a decent contract over there, but he's a once in a generation midfielder, Chad Warner. And if you're West Coast and you've got an opportunity to bring in Warner to complement Harley Reid for that midfield, that can change your club.
Off the back of yesterday's loss to North Melbourne, West Coast fans would love to hear that. Callum Sinclair's got Chad Warner joining Harley Reid at West both on long-term deals. Can't wait. On that note, we'll leave it there. Thanks, Cal.
Thanks, guys.
See you next time. Thank you, Sato. Welcome
Thanks,
back.
guys.
Good to have you back, and see you next time on ABC Sport. Garby, thank you.
Fun times at the SCG at the moment. Commiserations, Cats fans. Thank you.
Swans by 30 points here on your Sunday twilight fixture. We're off under lights at the MCG next. Thanks to Declan Byrne on the boundary, to our tech, Tegan Nichols, to Adam Jones, the cult figure back in the studio, and to you, most importantly, for your company as well. If you're listening through Sydney and Canberra News Radio, you've got network programs coming up. As is also the case on local radio at DAB+, returning to network and streaming programs, while the rest of us are off to the MCG for Essendon v Carlton as your AFL coverage on ABC Sport continues. Enjoy.